All right, let's get this going, man. Yesterday when we were on stream, we had saw Destiny like live talking to Andrew Tate and Sneako and all them. So, I decided to wait till today because it was a little late. I think it was 8:30. Isn't that crazy? I've been going to bed early. I got up at 8 today. Went for a 25-minute walk with the wife. Incredible stuff. Good way to start your day. Incredible. Anyway, I'm actually very interested in this. I'm excited. So let's get this going. Thank you so much for the 9-month small gut from Z. Have you ever been to New Mexico? If no, I recommend. I have not. I haven't been to any of them. Not even the old one. Let's get going.
Didn't Tucker get fired for having an opinion that went outside of the narrative of Fox News?
No, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying on air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually defending is misinformation and lies, which is supposed to be something you guys are against, I thought.
No, not at all. It's funny, though, because, obviously Tucker's going to, obviously Andrew Tate's going to defend Tucker because Tucker gave him a platform to lie on. He was able to go on the platform on Tucker's whatever. He talked to Tucker, and then he was able to go, when it comes to my arrest, it's just over TikTok, and no girls came out against me, and you know what I mean. And that's what these grifters, they're called, do. They just confidently lie over and over and over and over and over again, and until like idiots will just be like, yeah, that's probably the truth. So,
which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me.
That's not what I heard.
The Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit, there were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell had made to him. He was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all. First,
you don't know anything.
Destiny, I want to understand.
That's true. He does not know anything.
And your worldview.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the framers,
100%.
the law.
Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You
Whoa, America is number one, baby. Number one, America.
know that if you do anything.
Okay,
you get
so
all
then why the
media
in this
articles.
country? Why not go live in Rome or go live in the Catholic Vatican or go live in prehistoric wherever in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country's about? Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneako, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that?
But Destiny,
oh, that's true. Well, I mean, like Nick Fuentes he tries to play like the nice racist. Like he's legitimately bigoted. But he plays like this pretend game where it's like, no, well, actually, he tries to seem reasonable. It's just like dumb as shit.
I was going back and forth with Nick and Andrew on this. Is that where do you draw the line? Who decides where that line is, Destiny? Good to have you. And I'm sure there's a lot of voices on stage that some of you agree with, some of you strongly disagree with. But where would you say that line should be drawn?
What line are we talking about, bro? I don't even know.
But wait, I'm on Destiny's blacklist. He cannot speak to me because I'm on his blacklist.
Are we talking
okay.
about are we talking about for like legal purposes? Are we talking about for platform community guideline purposes? Or what do you mean?
Let's keep it more broad. Free speech purposes.
Well, I mean,
where do you draw? So Elon has drawn.
Hey, freedom of speech, but not of consequence. Am I right? I have no idea. This kind of feels like we started in like the middle, you know?
I can't talk. I'm
Okay, so
on
Destiny
Destiny's blacklist.
Is Nick on your black? Do you have a blacklist?
Destiny, have you brought? Yeah.
He has to go. I'm
No,
on
no,
his black- he can't-
It sounds like Nick is really afraid to talk to Destiny. I mean, it makes sense to have him on some kind of blacklist because he's not a person that can have a reasonable conversation ever. That's the problem. There are some people. It's not about because he's a more conservative-leaning individual. He just doesn't want to have a reasonable conversation. He's no interest in like shifting his perspective. He's not open-minded. He's none of those things. He just does the best that he can to push his his message of like legitimate bigotry. So there's really no point. There's not going to be a productive conversation. It makes sense to have him on some kind of a blacklist. But considering it's a big Twitter space where Destiny gets to talk to Andrew Tate, which I know he's wanted to for a while, and I've wanted to see it. I mean, it makes sense why he would, kind of forego that for the time being.
Give us an exception here, Destiny. If you
Can
could
we have
speak
the
to
exception?
Nick. If we can have the exception, Destiny, we'd be very grateful. But on a serious note, Destiny, where do you draw the line? Because Elon was asked that question. I think he was asked. We were doing a space on Brazil. When he was asked that question, he said a country's law, even though he might disagree with it, that's that's a line he cannot cross because he's running a business. Where do you think that line should be drawn, Destiny?
Well,
We've been having sorry. I'm just want to go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Destiny.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like to say the line is drawn at the law. I mean, is the most boring answer ever. Obviously, and if you're a business owner, you kind of have to operate there. But that's not the only place you can operate, right? Business owners can also make suggestions to Congress. They can have their appearances. They can talk to whoever they want to talk to. They can push culturally for the norms to change.
Yeah, that would be the point. No.
In terms of like where it should be, I mean, I like the United States freedom of speech. I think that sometimes people speak about it in kind of an ignorant way. Like for instance, when we talk about TikTok, it's
Yeah, me too. I mean, generally speaking, it's just free. You can say pretty much whatever you want as long as it doesn't cause harm or it's not like exception or it's not intended to rouse harm, you know what I mean, or violence in some capacity. American freedom of speech is pretty cool. I hear in other countries they may not be able to say everything they want to say. It's crazy, but here you can say whatever the fuck you want. You could tell cops to go fuck themselves. It's actually And I don't think you should do that, but we're pretty free over here.
Kind of funny that people think it's unfathomable that a foreign adversary literally having connections to so many different American cell phones and having their thumb on social media, which we all know is incredibly like influential and important. The idea that that wouldn't be a thing we'd want to avoid as the United States, I think it's an easy to understand idea. Without
Oh yeah, no, I see people all the time talking about TikTok's going to get banned, and then they're like, "Why? Who cares that China has our information? America does too." It's like, yeah, but America is like your government, and while I'm not going to say you should fully trust your government, I certainly trust the American government more than the Chinese government. The people who put Muslims in camps without media being allowed to go in there. Not a big fan of that. Actually, pretty bad. Not good. I don't know. Hot take. That's not good. Yeah, so I get it. I hope that they don't sell it. I've been doing well on TikTok. I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, their creator communications dog shit. Like, I've had videos taken like out of the creativity fund for non-originality, even though they should. Everything else I do is some kind of a reaction. It's just like they seem to just pick and choose, however their farts are feeling for the week. But it's a nice platform. It could be a little rough around the edges, but I get it if they take it away. Like, I get it. All they want to do is like sell it to an American company so they have full control. My understanding is like Oracle, I think is owned by Walmart, is running the servers. But still, I understand that they might have an impact on the ability to push through some kind of propaganda. I'm not saying it's happening now, but
without needing to invoke any kind of weird conspiratorial nonsense.
Yeah, Israel.
Cool. But yeah, no, I like the United States. I don't think we should have hate speech laws. I think you should be allowed to say more or less what you want to say in terms of like legal protections. And then obviously platforms can regulate speech as they want, but I think they should lean a little bit more on the freedom of speech side and just give people the opportunity or the tools to like block or mute people if they don't want to hear them.
So my next question, Destiny,
Sure.
next question is, do you think Nick should be censored?
do I think he should be? I don't really care about that. I think it's understandable that he is censored. So, yeah.
What, from X or from Twitter?
Social media.
No, I think Nick's pretty harmless. I think if he wants to do his little thing, he can do what he wants.
Okay.
I just got something real quick I want to say with TikTok, because I find it very interesting.
I like that everybody's talking at once.
Real quick, I just want to say this with TikTok. There was a push to ban TikTok for years on a national security premise because, obviously a foreign adversary has created the app. But I find it very interesting that a bill didn't get passed to get TikTok banned until what? Oh, it was overwhelmingly pro-Palestine, about 70 to 30% versus being pro-Israel. But once it became pro-Palestine and people became extremely critical of Israel, guess what? Oh, we got to pass a bill and get rid of TikTok.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess that is one of the things that they're saying, that they're pushing through. They're potentially pushing through some kind of like propaganda through that. Maybe. I don't know. I guess it's because I'm sure. Okay. They've been talking about it for a while. They finally, both parties were on board. Maybe that has something to do with it. They want to have more control over what they consider American propaganda. I don't know. Maybe.
Ed, I know you were jumping in.
So we were talking about Nick's ban. I know you were banned, I think it was 2021.
Well, I want to hear your response to that. Thank you for the 17-month small gut from Panda Man. How are you doing in chat? Papa in chat. Oh, doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Or something. Then Elon actually let you back on, or X let you back on after Elon took over. And then I think it was the same day you were banned again. And is there, do we know what you were actually banned for? Because I know doing
not being advertised or palatable. How's that for an answer?
Research. I know you had a post where you said who controls the mind, and it was all these Jewish people in the media.
Well, there you go. He's just anti-Semitic.
And then you also were in a space where you said, yes, we love Hitler.
Wow, incredible.
Do we know which of those got you banned?
Well, when I got unbanned,
Who could guess? You could guess.
I was under the impression that the new principle was free speech. So I didn't say anything illegal, and they didn't tell me what I was banned for. But I only posted like 3 things. I posted the red media. I said I did my Twitter space, and that's funny. You think, oh, you said you love Hitler. I love everyone. I love you. I love Destiny. I love everybody.
Yeah, see, that's like the crybaby, like that's the tactic from the start. Oh, I just love everybody. And like idiots believe that. Like they think, he's anti-Semitic. He's racist, anti-Semitic. He's everything. It's incredible considering he's only 5'2". I don't get it. Although I can understand being hateful of the world because of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But he plays like this game where he tries to pretend like, I just kind of love everybody. Everybody's cool. There are people that I don't know why you would ever love Hitler. He was a real scumbag piece of shit. So
it's very different saying, but it's 2 seconds. Guys, 2 seconds. So this is the slippery slope. Hold on. Yeah, I've just. Okay, yeah, I am speaking, so I'm not letting it go. But Nick, do you think so? First question, and we'll ask Elon that question on why you were banned, if you manages to drop by. But the question is, do you think that particular statement? So obviously you can't compare loving Destiny to loving Hitler for obvious reasons. But do you think that's the statement that got you banned, or do you think it was something else?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it was.
Nick Fuentes. And I hope you're not
He's
being banned,
rugging.
right? I don't know if he's rugging or his account just got banned again. I'm being honest. I think.
Hey, can I say something
Maybe
real
he's
quick?
making love
Something
to
that's really,
Go ahead,
that's
Destiny.
really
Go ahead,
annoying.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Destiny.
I wish that we had like better freedom of speech defenders. Like, listen, it's the United States of America. If you want to say you love Hitler, if you
Hey,
want to be
hang on, I was
anti-Semitic, you
glitching.
should be like allowed to say those things. I don't like it when people get banned for being anti-Semitic and then they say they weren't anti-Semitic, but then they also defend freedom of speech, but they won't say those things. It's ironic because all the people that talk about the Jew stuff are like the people who are the most scared to own the things that they've actually said. Like,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're gonna just claim that it's because you get banned for saying that kind of stuff. You can't say the quiet part out loud. But it's just like, yeah, it's any type of racism generally. I mean, if you go that far, is typically censored in some capacity
it's the United States of America. If you want to be
from a platform perspective.
anti-Semitic or anti-Jew, you have the right to say that publicly. Like, there's no law against like saying that publicly. Like, champion.
Hey,
don't,
can
like,
I jump in now? My thing was glitching.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick,
I want to
yeah.
answer this. Yeah.
I know he's just calling Nick to just say like, hey, just say you don't like Jewish people. Like, just be, if you're gonna be anti-Semitic, just say that you are. Own it, because it's a coward's game to not own what you're saying.
So, you're right. You're right. We cannot compare loving Hitler to loving Destiny. Destiny is far worse.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Man, look, let's try to last more than 24 hours today.
Come on, that's a good riff. No, you're right. But here's the thing. I think that in those cases, in those edge cases, yes, like we do have to permit people to say things that even everybody disagrees with. We have to permit people to say things that anybody would say, oh, of course you shouldn't be able to say that. That's where it matters. The limits of free speech, that's where it becomes
So is the implication that he's only doing it so that he could test he could test the boundaries of what we do and don't allow as free speech?
tested. We don't have free speech so that people can say, I like Burger King instead of Wendy's. No, we have free speech so that people can say things that are outrageous and question fundamental assumptions, like about Hitler, like about certain political myths, or how our political system is founded.
What political myths are we talking about?
And so when Destiny says, oh, you don't own what you say, it's not about that. It's just about if you are able to discern the tone when someone is talking or what the meaning is. You look at a lot of the things I say, a statement like that is obviously said in a tongue-in-cheek. It's punchy, it's outrageous, it's intended to be. That's the obvious purpose. And all of a sudden when somebody...
Right, but he legitimately thinks Hitler did a good thing. Like, I've seen him say these things before. So he's not just trying to be tongue-in-cheek and make an edgy joke. Like, he legitimately doesn't like Jewish people. So just admit it.
Who is like... And by the way, I should point out.
But that's what it's supposed to be. Again, it's supposed to be like this kind of like reasonable bigot that's like, oh, he's kind of reasonable. Maybe I'll start watching him, and then you get sucked into being a piece of shit.
While we're playing this game about, you said this, you said that, when I say something like what I don't want to get banned, but when I say something like what I said a year ago that got me rebanned after I was reinstated, everybody looks at that and not rightly, they rightly say it's outrageous, but there's a complete context denial. People hear that statement and they go, he said what? Ban. Because I'm a right-wing guy and I have all these views and I'm like
a right-wing guy with all... Listen, a lot of people in my family are conservative. They're more right-wing. They don't have these views. I'll tell you that.
Canceled American. He's got to go. Hang on. I'm making a point. When Destiny says, I think that the Palestinians should be genocided. Ha ha ha. No.
I don't think that he says that. When he made like a joke about that.
Nobody looks at that and says, oh, he should be canceled. What an outrageous thing to say. Some people do, but he's on YouTube. He hangs out with Shapiro, Jordan Peterson. When I say something because I'm right-wing and it's outrageous, there's no charity. People pretend like they don't know what humor is. People pretend they don't know what rhetoric is. That's just who.
When did Destiny say that he thinks they should be genocided? I don't remember seeing anything like that. Was it like a really edgy joke that he made? I don't know. But I feel like he hasn't said that, but I could be wrong.
Who he is. He's an odious person. Get him out of here. And same goes for everyone here. Same thing happened to Tate. Similar things have happened to Elon. It's happened to Alex Jones. When left-wing people do or say things that are just as bad, just as racist or just as violent or whatever, it's always with them, oh, I'm sure he was joking. Hassan Piker can say...
Oh, he did in so many words, not a lot more. Can you show that to me? Like, can you send me the link of him saying that?
We deserve 9/11. As far as I know, he's still on Twitch. I'm not. But what is materially different?
Honestly, I think that saying we deserve 9/11 is not as bad as saying Hitler is a good person. It's like the worst. It's probably the worst, if not one of the worst genocides ever. What are you talking about? It's a little different.
I'm saying America deserved 9/11. 3,000 souls, innocent, were killed.
I mean, I'm not like a fan of what Hassan said, but I think there's a bit of a difference.
We deserve that. That's a fine statement. You're on Twitch and Twitter, and there's no censorship. What Destiny says, I think Palestinians should be genocided. Ha ha ha. He's still on YouTube. He's still on all these platforms. Nobody even thinks twice. When Nick Fuentes makes a joke, or hang on, when I say something like, oh, whatever I said, I don't want to say it again because I don't want to get banned, oh, well, he's a horrible person. He's an avowed neo-Nazi. Look at what, they're going to reprint the quote like Ed Krasenstein did without the laughing or the tone. And that's BS. Like, let's just be honest. Everyone can recognize what's going on there.
This is
so let me,
just
a quick question. Just on the point. Before that point, just because there was something.
It was an edgy joke that he made. Was that what the fuck? Was that when he was in a conversation with somebody and then they kept he made it out of the world's incredible. And he made that out of like an offhanded comment about it, like made a joke about it to shock the person so they'd stop talking and then started talking himself and be like, I was just kidding, or am I misremembering?
I think there's some point sensitive things. So Destiny, on the joke that Nick, and obviously it's a joke that many will find insensitive, offending, etc. On the joke of you being a more despicable person, I think he said, than Hitler. Now, I think he meant it as a joke. Do you think such jokes, Destiny, again you said that Nick is on your
I don't think Destiny's going to care about that joke at all.
blacklist. Do you think such jokes should be censored or they should be allowed? What's your position on that, Destiny?
If you're talking legally, I think you should be allowed to joke about whatever you want to joke about. But again, like the problem again is like the advocates for freedom of speech are so like boring and dishonest. Like Fuentes is not banned for telling jokes. Fuentes is banned because he jokes about things he actually believes, right? The difference between like me and
that's a good point too.
Fuentes.
I mean, you could use a joke to say something and like not mean it, but there are a lot of people who use jokes as vehicles to push, well, extreme positions. So
if you ask me, Destiny, do you think all the Palestinians should be genocided? I mean, if you listen to the rest of that clip, I go, man, it's like a really situation. I don't know how it's going to end. It seems like there's no way out. Like, that's my answer. If you ask Nick, do you really think that like Jews run 70% of the world and the white race is being bred out of existence by mass immigration that's facilitated by secret Jewish financiers who also control all of our foreign policy and make us allegiant to Israel, and they've done this for thousands of years, and that's why they're kicked out of every single... He'd be like, well, yeah, and also, 6 million cookies, right? Like, the difference is Nick isn't just...
That's true.
But Destiny,
again, like, just own it.
Destiny, quick question. No, but Destiny, like, do you not agree that a person can ask a question, so they can believe in a certain ideological position, and then ask a question that people would find harmful, or find it emotionally hurting? As an example, you said you're anti-Islam or you're Islamophobic, and then you make jokes about it. So you can clearly have a position and yet make jokes about it, right?
Well, yeah, but I think Destiny is anti every religion, so he's anti-religion. And let's be real, I love God, but there are people who weaponize religion, and they've had a lot of negative impact on the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. But if you were to ask me, Destiny, why do you make jokes against Islam? I wouldn't be a pussy and say, oh, bro, I'm just joking. I would say, because I don't like Islam. I really don't. I hate the religion. Like, I would be honest about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they're just jokes.
So let me ask Nick. And this is the thing. So why is and this is the real question people are asking, like, why
is his mic so fucking annoying?
Is Destiny able to make those comments, and someone like Nick gets banned? So Nick, same question to you. Your position in terms of whether you believe that certain people...
Well, I think that there's a difference between saying, hey, I don't like the religion of Islam, or hey, I don't like the religion, like the Jewish religion or the Christian religion or whatever religion, versus saying there's like a secret magical shadow organization of Jews that are controlling the world. Like, it's just preposterous, ridiculous bullshit.
Run the world, or whatever it is. I mean, have you hid from that position? Like, that's his argument.
Absolutely not. No, but here's the difference. People are not saying, oh, you believe that Jews have disproportionate influence in media. I don't think anyone would even disagree with that.
No, they do. But there's like reasons for it. It's not because they are magically control the world. Like, let's say, for instance, when it comes to like movies, the reason that there's disproportionate Jewish influence is because they weren't allowed to be a part of the whatever movie industry existed back in the day. So they made their own, and it just happened to do better, right? So yeah. Alki RFC, holy fuck, this guy. Thank you for the $5. Do you think Sam Hyde should have been banned for his meta-ironic jokes? He could or could not be anti-Semitic. Who knows? I have no idea. I honestly don't watch a lot of Sam Hyde, so I don't know, maybe. I mean, I've seen some stuff that's funny. I've also seen some stuff that's a little wild. I really have no fucking idea, to be honest with you. I don't watch enough of him to be able to say that. So I doubt he's as bad as Nick Fuentes, though.
I don't even think Jews would disagree with that. Also, it's an empirical question. So people, if they're interested, can go and look it up. It's actually not a completely subjective question. It's actually quite objective.
Yeah, but that's not the claim. He's using that as a vehicle to try to say that like Jews control the world and they're evil. That's the problem. Where have you been anyway, Augie? How's everything going?
That's not what people accuse me of, and that's like a very slippery way to frame it. When Destiny says they should be genocided, so of course I don't believe they should be genocided. Okay, fair enough. People watch my speech from a year ago or 2 years ago, and they say, oh, he wants to kill all people that aren't like him. In the same speech, I say, we love everyone. We love even our enemies. We need to pray for them. We need mercy and compassion towards them.
Yeah, I remember when Nick Fuentes said that sleeping with a black person is similar to sleeping with a literal dog. So that was interesting. Yeah, it's a pretty disgusting speech. I mean, if I had Twitter or whatever, I would ban that too, because I'm trying to, like, advertisers are not going to be particularly thrilled about legitimate, like, actual unironic hate speech like that. They're going to pull out, and as a Jew myself, which I am, I like that money, baby. No, but seriously, it's like disgusting, you know?
And we don't need cruelty. I think even in that same speech, not even about Jewish people or Israel, in that same speech, I said, when I look at homosexuals and transsexuals, I don't like all the cruelty visited upon them. We need to pray for them. We need to bring them into the church, blah, blah, blah. So it's like the same speech where people say, oh,
it sounds like a real nice guy. Maybe I'll start watching his stuff. That's what you're supposed to think.
Nick said he wants to kill everyone and all of his opponents. I'm literally as Destiny said with his comments about genociding Palestinians, blah, 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 context, so it's like it's completely misrepresented. The difference is the ADL and the SPLC aren't clipping Destiny's joke and throwing it on social media every time he makes a post. The difference is when an article is written about Destiny, there isn't a preamble that says Destiny, a live streamer who said Palestinians should be genocided, but they do that for me. Every unfortunate thing, joke, exaggeration, whatever you want to call it, always with the most uncharitable interpretation. That is on my Wikipedia. That is the preamble of every article written about me. And I'm not going to hide behind my real views. Okay.
Are you saying that all of that was taken out of context?
Saying that we're going to kill everybody or whatever? Yeah, it absolutely is taken out of context.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's referring to. But I remember last time he said things were taken out of context. That's when Destiny brought up and played the clip. We watched the clip of him saying that sleeping with a black person and a dog is basically the same thing. So I know that Nick likes to claim a lot of things are out of context, but a lot of times they're not. But it could be. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when he stops he just stops talking constantly to try to control the conversation because he's afraid.
You have to give me a specific example.
How many Jews do you think died in the Holocaust? There's a specific question. How many Jews died in the Holocaust?
So Nick, just a quick question, right?
Good question. How many Jews do you think died in the Holocaust, Nick?
When
I know he's going to say it like none. No, he thinks that the number is like greatly exaggerated or something ridiculous like that.
When you've explained the disparity in terms of the rules, like basically Destiny can attack Islam, Muslims, and he's got no problems, and you have been banned. Now the question becomes, when you know that that's the level of Sophia that we live in, that there is this disparity, do you then, like, now you made a joke, didn't you, right? And it was clearly a joke, and now that could be snipped and that could maybe be used to get you banned.
This guy really, I think, likes Nick Fuentes a lot. Again, I think that there's probably a difference between saying I don't like a particular religion. Go say you don't like the Jewish religion, like, because you think that that it's just like every other religion. It can be weaponized to be oppressive to different people. Like, go ahead, say that. That's fundamentally what Destiny is saying. I understand that. You know, I know he's edgy sometimes on Twitter, so I understand that sometimes that message can get lost. But that's effectively what he's saying. But there's a difference between that and saying that like the Jewish people are magically like controlling the world and trying to breed white people out of existence. Augie, what's up, brother? $5 again. Nick says that non-Christians shouldn't be able to run the U.S. government. You being Jewish, how would you feel if a Muslim was in charge of Israel? I mean, I'm not Jewish enough to care about Israel in any meaningful capacity. You know, I really just like the rye bread from Israel. It's very good. But yeah, I think, I don't know how to answer that question. I think anybody should be able to do anything as long as they were born in America, obviously. Except Hassan Piker, of course. I don't think he should be able to run for any office. You want a Muslim, a Jewish... By the way, why are there how come we haven't had a single Jewish president if Jews run the United States? It doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't quite understand it. But yeah, let anybody run. That's fine with me, dude. Preferably somebody that's skinnier, because, you know, we don't need a fat person. Well, maybe if we had a fat person running for president, we could have some pretty good food in the cafeterias, but, you know?
Or whatever it may be. So does that make you become, you know, well, obviously it hasn't, but should it then make you become a lot more careful in even the jokes you make?
No, absolutely not, because it...
Well, yes, you should become more careful in the jokes that you make if you're making it. Like, listen, I made a lot of edgy jokes on TikTok and it got me banned, and I still continue to make those jokes. And what I've changed more than anything else is I usually will announce when I'm making a joke after I make a joke, so that you know that I'm kidding. I can be very sarcastic, and I know a lot of people, autistic people, like to watch my content because they love me, and they don't understand my jokes. I'm just kidding. But no, sometimes people can take my jokes the wrong way, and I totally understand it. So yeah, adjust a little bit so that people understand that you're actually just kidding and you're just making a joke and you're not trying to be hateful. There's nothing wrong with that, especially since like the goal is to stay popular. No, isn't that a big part of the goal, is to be able to have an influence? I mean, look at people like Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. They put out the stuff that they know that they can get away with on YouTube, and then they have their own little Daily Wire thing that you can subscribe to, and they can say whatever they want. And I think that that's perfectly reasonable. It's a smart content strategy. But for you to be like, no, I'm going to say whatever I want just because I think I should be able to say it, and then you just get banned a bunch of times, like, stop crying like a bitch. Like, do that. Be more intelligent about the way that you operate. Be better about your brand and your brand awareness. It's just smarter.
What I have learned, because I've been doing this for a little while now, longer than many people, what I've learned is it doesn't matter actually what you say or how carefully you say it. Keith Woods is on here. He just jumped on the space. This is a guy who, I mean, me and my followers, it's like an inside joke that his streams are so, they don't have any rhetoric, they don't have any, there's no jokes, it's very dry, it's all philosophy. This guy is like the most controlled, disciplined,
right now,
and by
baby.
controlled, I mean he has self-control, not like controlled up. I mean he's self-controlled, restrained,
Controlled by who?
disciplined, and even when he got popular last year for the ban, he started the Ban the ADL campaign, hashtag, they dug up like a tweet from 2 years.
Oh, let me just go back really quick to Augie's question, because I feel like I just fucking comprehended half of what you asked me. Nick says non-Christians should be able to run the U.S. government. You being Jewish, how would you feel if a Muslim was in charge of Israel? Okay, so I I just like comprehended the question in a meaningful way. Sorry. Yeah, so I think in America, anybody should be able to run for president as long as they are somebody who is born here, Muslim, Christian, Jewish. I don't really give a shit. Probably the same thing in Israel. Right? I think that the difference is that there is a massive conflict between, you know, not necessarily Muslims, but basically, you know, Arab people and Jewish people, and some kind of a Muslim person running for president that might be associated with, you know, Palestine or Hamas in some capacity. I can see why they wouldn't want that, you know. But there are people in the Israeli government that are like Muslim and are Palestinian, and they vote and they hold office and they do this. So it's not unrealistic that that would happen. Yeah. Yeah, I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm ethnically Jewish. Okay. My sperm donor was Jewish.
Prior, where he
I just gained consciousness. Sorry, dude. I was fucking dumb as shit.
said something like sarcastically, oh, I guess I'm a raging anti-Semite because blah, blah, blah. The ADL cut that, and now every time there's an article about Keith Woods, it says self-avowed raging anti-Semite.
Based.
One tweet from years ago said in an obviously, I mean, Keith knows the details, so he can reproduce the tweet.
You don't think the U.S. will ever elect a Muslim? I think that they might. Maybe one day. You never know, dude. We just need a little more time.
But it was so obviously, he wasn't saying, hey, it was obviously rhetorical. It was obviously
what about a hot Muslim? Yeah, that's a good point. If they have nice titties, then I can see them getting elected.
Sarcastic. So it doesn't matter.
I'd vote for him. I don't give a shit.
All the videos, all these dry videos about Platonism and, you know, video essays and articles about birth rates in a very measured academic way. He said one thing sarcastic one time. They dug in, found it, some research.
I feel like this is probably not a true, accurate representation.
Reproduced it. Now he forever will be known as the self-avowed raging anti-Semite. So I've seen many things like that. So the question is, do you like self-censor and impose a chilling effect? And, you know, we can't be funny. We can't make jokes. We can't be rhetorical. We have to kind of go through this translator.
I make some pretty good jokes. I don't really have too much of a problem. I'll say that.
And be, as Tate said at the beginning, you neuter yourself. They want you neutered with a chilling effect from these free speech regulations. Or do you just kind of go out? I feel like I have filled up the room with such a cacophony. Like there's just like this ambient perception of me as this like vaguely horrible person. Now I can say whatever I want. Now I can say whatever. And, you know, and I think people can recognize if they watch my show. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot and then get Destiny's thoughts. I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Sure.
And I'm pretty confident you will not get banned answering that question. But what is the most controversial belief that you currently hold? And
is he going to admit it? Let's say
it's yours. It doesn't matter how controversial it is, because then my next question for Destiny and anyone else would be, should that belief be censored? Should the ability to speak about that?
I mean, the belief being censored is up to the platform that has also their ability to engage in like free speech.
Belief be censored. Nick, the mic is yours.
Okay. Well, I would say the biggest taboo right now is talking about Jewish people, you know, because I talk about race.
You can talk about Jewish people as much as you want. You just can't push anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. There's a difference between talking about Jewish people. You should talk about Jewish people. You should ask the questions. You should wonder why there's disproportionate representation in like media. Like, right, and I answered it before as why there's disproportionate representation, like movies, for instance. It's because they had to make their own fucking movie because they were barred from doing it themselves, or they were barred from being part of like whatever media industry was back then, and theirs just happened to be better. Like, it's fine to ask these questions, but there's a difference between asking a legitimate question versus trying to rouse some kind of like anti-Semitic behavior. Right, like nobody's sitting here like, oh my God, they're black people. There's a conspiracy with black people. They're disproportionately the basketball players and football players. Like nobody's saying that. Nobody's using that as a weapon to be racist. Right? I don't know. They're just good. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Thank you so much for the $5 from Conrad Corball. Papa Gut is a raging anti-bear man. Big Bear hates Papa Gut. Very true, brother. Very true. What the fuck?
And I talk about gender and a lot of things. And the biggest taboo is, as we all know, talking about Jewish people's influence. And it could be right-wing or left-wing.
Okay.
I think, though, it seems like the influence of Israel is maybe the biggest one, because even conservatives talk about George Soros. So I would say it's Jewish influence. And you know, my answer for that is I think that only Christians should be in power in America. And I don't know.
Well, that's dumb, but okay. Why? Who cares?
Details of how you'd work that out in terms of if you pass a...
You wouldn't work that out. That's just stupid. There's no reason to do that.
Law or there's qualification, but I think that we should have all Christian legislators and Christian presidents and Christian Supreme Court judges.
Why?
So I would say that's probably my most controversial.
I just think that they should be American. They should just have to be American. That's it. Be part of America. And like the country would be helpful also. I'm going to be real with you. It'd be good if you liked the country, you know?
I'd say taboo number one, we've discussed this point in previous spaces. I want to ask you, and Keith, I'm going to go to you in a second, but give me one more, Nicholas, and then we'll go Nick, and then we'll go to Destiny afterwards. The second taboo thing, and I've got a quote here about... I'm going to read out a quote, could be out of context. Maybe it could be the second one when you said it could be a joke as well. We need to go back to burning women alive more. Again, if I took it out of context, I do apologize. But can you...
I mean, I'm sure it's some kind of a joke, but the reality is he's also doesn't think women deserve rights either. So, again, it's like, an edgy joke that he partially believes, you know? Like, women shouldn't really have rights. They shouldn't be able to vote. They shouldn't this. They should. So, yeah, cool. I mean, all right.
Maybe elaborate that quote, and could that be the second most taboo belief that you hold? Which I'd be surprised if you actually hold that belief.
I see your co-host thumbs down that one. I wonder, she didn't like that I said I want to burn women alive. That's obviously a joke. And if you look at the whole context of that clip, I said in a very deadpan way, I'm like, women are casting spells and they're becoming witches. In the Middle Ages, they used to throw them in the river. They used to burn them alive. I'm like, and here they are lying on the stand about, I think in that case it was Johnny Depp. I'm like, they're lying about Johnny Depp casting spells. I'm like, we got to burn these women alive. Obviously a joke.
I'd put that in an extremely bad joke, but yes.
Can I ask Nick a question real fast?
Your reaction is what makes it funny.
I
would say
who's this dumb broad talk? I'm just kidding.
for you to burn me at the stake, but you'd have to be tied to me.
What would be
funny.
Before Ed and Keith, just 2 seconds. So Nick, what would be the second most taboo belief that you hold? And I want Destiny's thoughts on either of these, whether they should be censored. Now, I'll ask Ed the same question, and then Keith.
Probably my other one is that race is real. I'm a race.
Yeah, race is real, but race realism doesn't mean that you acknowledge that like there are differences between different races potentially. Nick doesn't go like, there are some like genetic differences between different people of different races. That's not really a hot take. Nick goes because black people are just fundamentally stupid and they have low IQs because they're black. Then he doesn't take into account any systemic aspect. And Sneako fucking guzzles the cum of that perspective somehow, but pretends he's not also like a racist piece of shit. There's a difference between saying like, there's some differences. Like if you look at things like, maybe there's like a racial aspect to why black people are better at basketball. Maybe there's a racial aspect to like why white people are better at like powerlifting or strongman. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. These differences aren't really meaningful in any capacity. But he doesn't acknowledge that there's any level of like historical systemic oppression that has a negative impact on different people. Because he's racist. He thinks that sleeping with a dog is the same as sleeping with a black person. Like this is something that he has legitimately said. So. Like, yeah, he says these things in a way that sounds like, that sounds kind of reasonable, but he's not reasonable when you get down to it. But he's a coward and he won't tell you specifically what he thinks because he's just trying to get more people to engage with him. That's pretty much it.
Realist. I think that there's genetic differences between the races as opposed to everything being environmental.
Not everything is environmental, but there's a pretty significant environmental impact.
So, and those are broad categories of like, talking about Jewish people, talking about biological diversity, human.
And my thing is if you think that black people are inferior because their IQs are lower and it's all biological, then wouldn't Jewish people be superior because they have better outcomes? Like, wouldn't by your logic Jewish people be the best? I don't really understand. Like, where do you fall in line on this perspective? It doesn't really make any sense to me.
Biological diversity. That's what people would say is the dissident right. Those are like the two biggest taboo things they believe. And then so for me, I guess those would probably be the big two.
So Destiny, these are two beliefs I'm guessing you disagree with. So should Nick have the right to speak about those two topics on any social media platform, not just X?
Just to be clear, why do you need to talk about those topics so much? Like, what is the benefit of constantly bringing up racial differences? Like, what do you get out of it? Right? Like, what is the benefit to your platform? Just every day going on about, that there's lower IQs with this race and higher IQs with this race and that. It's like, wow. Like, what's the point of your platform?
Personally, I think that if you're large enough of a social media platform and you're hosting political conversations, I think almost any kind of mainstreamish, like if more than 1% of people believe in it, there should probably be conversation happening about it. So I would say that everything he's brought up, you should be able to talk about on most mainstream like social media platforms, assuming political conversations happen here, right? Like if you've got like a social media website for, people talking about, their cats and dogs, then I can understand banning the speech there. But for places like Facebook or X, Twitter, like I can understand people wanting to have those conversations here, and you should be able to. But again, I would like to repeat the same thing I've said a million times. It is so boring that nobody will actually present what it is they actually believe. I don't know if it's strategy or I don't know if it's cowardice, but like...
Oh, it's both.
Like,
what is it do you think that I'm hiding? I mean,
you
just
just said
say
two
it straight
things
up.
that are objectively true that everybody believes in. Like Jews have a disproportionate.
So what am I hiding?
Jewish people
What am I
have a
hiding?
Here we go. We're gonna keep talking. This is the Nick Fuentes, the tactic. He does not stop talking. He won't shut the fuck up, especially when he feels threatened. He won't stop talking. He tries to filibuster the conversation.
What am I hiding and not saying?
Yeah, say it. So,
Well, I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that.
Well, so
I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that. I mean, Destiny
wait, if you
got
want to hide
back.
your beliefs, that's fine. But then say that. Be like, yo, I'm not going to say what I actually believe because I'm not going to.
No, but so what is?
You're muddying the waters because
I can't say it. Yeah. I'm just
well, a
saying,
lot of people don't.
Go ahead and say it.
I can't. Okay.
Go ahead right now.
Say a minute ago that the Jewish thing was a myth and that like Jewish people don't have a disproportionate amount of power in the media.
Who would
and
say
now
that?
you're just saying
wait,
that's an
wait,
objectively
hold
true
on.
thing?
It's two things, okay? One, Jews obviously have a disproportionate amount, and far more than the media, probably politically.
I'm not
surely
hearing what I'm
financially.
hiding. I'm not hearing
yeah,
what
you're
I'm
hiding
hiding.
is
You
you
made
don't
that
think.
accusation 3 times.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
hearing an
Can I
example.
He's so scared. You can tell that Fuentes is fucking terrified right now.
Finish a sentence. I know you're excited.
Yeah,
to get
answer
back
the
there.
question.
I'm
You're talking about other stuff.
trying
Answer
to,
the
but you cut
question.
me off like every 2
No,
seconds.
you're not. You're going in another direction.
My washer's going crazy.
Name one specific example.
My dryer.
Well, because you said it now like 5 times.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
you're
I'm gonna have
hiding.
to
You
repeat
won't
this.
say
I'm
real
trying to
view.
get my answer out.
Say it.
Eventually, let me do it. I know you're
Okay,
excited.
let's hear
okay?
say the example.
Yes. So the idea that Jews disproportionately represent some part of like the power structures is not the controversial nor the strong claim. That is an objectively true claim that everyone can see. The strong claim is the idea that there is a secret cabal of Jewish people that are working to undermine other races across the world that are coordinating and working through all of those structures of power. That's the controversial belief. That's the thing that you believe in and you preach. But then you come onto these platforms and you give the weak take of like, don't you think that like most of the people's in charge are like kind of more Jewish than like they really should be? Or the same thing with like the race and IQ thing. Like
Yeah, it's like a dog whistle, right?
everybody who's reasonable to anything should acknowledge that there's going to be genetic differences, probably even genetic differences between groups of people. But that's not your claim. Your claim is black people are dumber due to genetic reason on whole versus white people. Like that's the strong claim. You make the weak claim that is like everybody believes in it, but then like the strong claim goes unsaid, and that's usually what people are upset about. Which you can argue is
Yeah,
good or
okay,
bad, but
so
at
let
least
me-
like
let me
own up,
just-
like
okay.
man up and own your positions. Don't like say the most milquetoast, like obviously true things ever, and leave all the controversy behind you. That's weak.
Yeah, see, the difference is that when you say these things, you're rephrasing them in the liberal perception way. You say,
No, this is just what he thinks. Like, I don't understand. He's like a coward.
well, if you believe in race realism, that means you believe black people are dumb. No, if you
He's literally said that he thinks that black people are inferior and Hispanic people are inferior biologically and genetically. I've heard him say this before. And sorry that my washing machine's going a little crazy. It's on spin cycle to, get some of the water out.
believe in human biodiversity, you believe that there are genetic differences between people. IQ is a heritable trait, and blacks have a lower average IQ, on average, than white people.
Yeah, because of mostly systemic conditions. Like, yeah. But Nick doesn't acknowledge that. He thinks that they're just like worse people. That's the problem here.
That's also a statistical fact. That's also true in SAT scores. It's also true in IQ tests globally and in America. I've never hid from that. I said that in front of
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously going to have a better IQ in a country with more money and abundance and ability to teach people. Like, no shit.
a crowd of black people at Iowa State. I said
still
that in
haven't
front
said
of
the strong
Myron.
claim.
Hang on, and Myron is here. I said that in front of a
You still aren't
panel
saying
of
the
all
strong
black
claim.
women
You're too
on Fresh
scared.
and Fit.
Yeah, because Fresh and Fit are red pill losers that are losing their audience and need to appeal to anybody that they can. So they allow him to come on there so they could desperately try to get some kind of a new audience because their old audience is embarrassed of them and they're starting to grow up and realize that these guys are fucking clown idiots and there's no reason to listen to them and they're losers. So that's like a lot of the red pill strategy is talking to these people that are considered like not talk. You can't talk to them because they have nothing else. That's the entire content strategy. Because they're just constantly falling off harder and harder and harder and harder, and there's no consistency. Like it was all shock value the entire time. All red pill shit was all shock value, all shock attention, desperate for attention the entire time. There was nothing of like particular value or intellect coming out of it. So like, yeah, of course he's going to allow that to happen. And also, Myron hates black women. Like he's legitimately says that. Like he was incredibly racist to Abram Preach, letting people put on like KKK outfits and shit and like call them the N-word on his stream with like Zerka and all them. And he hates black women. He just doesn't respect black women. So of course he's going to be okay with these types of things going on in his platform.
That's a
Because
fact.
you're just reframing what I'm saying
I'm not
in a
reframing
liberal
it.
way.
You're
And you're saying
saying
that if
different
someone
people are
believes in
different.
genetic
In a liberal way.
differences, then that means that you believe black people are dumb.
No,
and if
you
you say that
believe-
Jewish people influence society, you believe in a shadowy cabal where they're like evil wizards
Yeah, that's what he actually believes.
and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So it's
keep
like,
adding
of course
to it.
I'm not
Keep
going to
adding
say
to it.
the
Yeah.
caricature and the reframing that you're giving it because you disagree. You don't like that people find it persuasive. That's why you put me on a blacklist and said,
It's
I will never stream with
persuasive
Nick Fuentes.
because
But
you're not
then
saying
when
anything
when I'm on a big
controversial.
space, then you got to
Yeah, exactly. Some people might be like, yeah, that sounds kind of true. This is what happens. He says something that's incredibly like non-controversial, like, oh, there are genetic differences. But people know what he's trying to say. He's dog whistling because, you know, they've seen his like things on his show before, and they call him out, and people are like, "Wow, why are they calling this guy out? He seems so reasonable." Mostly fucking morons that fall for it, and then they go watch his show and they start to get like warped into like this fucking, you know, brain rot. That's what it is. So yeah,
show up to derail and disrupt and say, oh, all the persuasive stuff. Well, he's just lying. There's secret evil views that he has that you just aren't hearing right now. So that's why you're going to break your one rule. You know, you come on the podcast even though you quote.
Now you're obsessed with comic book villains.
Because as you
okay.
said, I do like that movie. Because as you said a couple of years ago, you don't like when people like me talk to a large audience. You're the one that's hiding
7 people
political
DM'd me
agenda.
to come here. Okay, so I decided to come hang out.
That's
I mean, it makes sense. You know, Nick Fuentes is not a reasonable person that can be reasoned with. So why have a conversation with him? That's probably why Destiny doesn't do it anymore.
Hold on. And Keith, I want to ask you both the same question. Is like seeing that back and forth between Nick and Destiny. Is there anything in that back and forth that should have been censored? Is there anything that could have, you know, that could be considered hate speech or could have led to violence and should not be allowed on X or any other platform?
Well, I don't think he's claiming that it shouldn't be allowed. He's just saying that the platform should be able to have their own freedom to do what they want. So their freedom of speech.
I think it should be up to the platform itself. If a platform wants to censor certain types of hate speech or certain types of incitement.
I mean, if they don't, then they don't make money. But the reality is, whether you like it or not, if YouTube doesn't censor Nick Fuentes, YouTube doesn't get advertiser revenue, and then I don't get paid, and you don't get paid, nobody gets paid. You have to censor people to some extent. You have to be like reasonable. And like, you know, hold a reasonable line, which I think that YouTube does, or else advertisers are not going to want to go to the platform, and then you're fucked.
Of violence, I think they should be able to do that.
What's wrong? Oh yeah, can you turn off the fan in there? Sorry.
Even despite sorry to interrupt you, Ed, but despite the amount of influence they have now compared to 10, 20 years ago, like if you give them that right now and they all just meet in one room, they can essentially control speech around the world.
Yeah, but I think that's their right as a corporation. I don't, you know.
Ed, what's the platform's primary objective?
To make money.
The platforms. What platform are you referring to?
All of them. Why do social media companies exist? What's their primary objective?
To make money.
To make money. And you're saying that they should be allowed to ban certain speech they don't like if that allows them to make more money, correct?
Yeah. Yes. If you don't like that, then you should advocate for the government to make their own Twitter. There you go. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I believe, as in capitalism, I believe that's the way it should be.
So if Pfizer came along and decided to give a bunch of money to one of these social media platforms, would they allow anti-COVID vaccine conversations and speech or vaccine injury proof on their platform, or would they censor it to make as much money as possible?
Sorry, what? What was the question? I'm not understanding.
Correct.
I believe, as in capitalism, I believe that's the way it should be.
So if Pfizer came along and
Pfizer
decided to give a bunch of money to one of these social media platforms, would they allow anti-COVID vaccine conversations and speech or vaccine injury proof on their platform, or would they censor it to make as much money as possible?
Here's the thing. I think it's fine to question the vaccine. I did, right? I was nervous about it. I didn't get it till I had to get it because my wife had to get it. My wife had to get it for work. I was skeptical. It came out really fast. It's not unreasonable to say something like that. The problem is while there's always a potential side effect to any vaccine, people are trying to make it seem like the side effects to the COVID vaccine were massive. They really weren't. They weren't out of line with any other potential side effect. And there's the good outweighs the bad. How the fuck did I just die? The good outweighs the bad. So there was a lot of conversation, and we had, again, 1 million people a year, or was it over the 3 years, excess death rate due to COVID, and people weren't taking their vaccine, and that vaccine misinformation was dangerous, so they decided that they were going to censor it. Is it perfect? No, but a lot of people died. I worked. A lot of these people worked. They were online the whole time. They didn't see what the actual negative impact was. I've had family that died, people I knew that died from my work. COVID was dangerous. It was rough. A lot of people died. So they made that decision that they're going to start censoring people who were pushing objective misinformation about it. That makes sense.
I think it's up to them as a corporation to do as they please. Just like Donald Trump and Truth Social has censored liberals from his site.
That's fine. But we're talking about people getting
I think Elon Musk has the absolute right to run it the way he wants to do it.
That's fine.
And under his terms.
He's saying Big Pharma pulls social media pays social media to pull out info. They put out info they want. It goes the way more than pharma. I'm not sure. I believe no. I mean, there's objective studies that are done by different structures about how dangerous or safe these things are.
That as long as something doesn't break the law, and I guess that can be subjective to some, like what's going on in Brazil. I think that's his right, and I think if that's the best way to run it, that his platform will probably succeed.
Cool. So vaccine. I understand what you're saying. So vaccine injuries do exist.
Sure, people can get side effects from the vaccines, but they're very uncommon.
However, the platform's objective is to make as much money as possible, and Pfizer is funding the platform, so they're going to pretend vaccine injuries do not exist. So they're
That's not true. Nobody pretends that they don't exist. People like Andrew Tate like to sensationalize them and say that it's bad because of that. So
purporting a false version of reality. They are creating and aiding the matrix and making people believe a version of reality that is not true, primarily for financial profit. Okay. And those with the global centralized capital can control narratives and control the world even at a better level than most political parties. Would you agree with that?
Well, Pfizer is not even worth that much money. Why do we assume Pfizer can control speech on...
It's an example.
Yeah, see, so you
yeah, but it sounds like it might be an unrealistic example.
You keep blaming it on the advertiser or a company that's paying these companies. It's up to the media companies, it's up to their shareholders, what's in the best interest of those companies. That's how capitalism works in America. That's what I think most conservatives embrace. They embrace capitalism. Let the companies make up their own mind. If one business idea is failed, it's not going to work out. If people don't like that, they're going to move to another platform. And we're seeing that with a lot of people who are moving away from Facebook and onto X because they don't like this level of censorship they're getting on other platforms. So they move to X. Just like the media. You can watch Fox News, you can watch...
I feel like people are leaving Twitter because it's brain rot dog shit. Like, it's a terrible platform that's not like worth engaging with. Like, I don't want to go on there because it's just like toxic and ridiculous and stupid and unproductive. So
News Nation, you can watch, there's a plethora of different media outlets that you can consume if you don't like what one media outlet's putting out there. It's not the government saying, oh, the media can't talk about the Pfizer vaccine or say that it has side effects. If that would be an infringement on the First Amendment. But in capitalistic society, these companies can run the way they want without government interference. So if the government starts interfering and saying you can't run your platform how you want, then that's going to be the government interference, and that's going to be against the First Amendment.
Okay, well, that's another argument because there was Twitter files and there's a whole rabbit hole.
Well, and the Twitter files also, the Twitter files showed that a lot of stuff went on. People requested a lot of things to be removed. And Twitter, being a publicly run company, publicly held company, they made up their mind on what they believed was best.
Let me simplify the question. Do you believe the people? So what you're effectively saying, we agree on the fact that those with the money can control certain narratives and how they're perceived and discussed. Would you agree with that?
Those with
Sure, to an extent, sure. That conversation is can we verify whether the running of these things are necessarily dishonest? And based on all the objective data we have about COVID, it's not dishonest. So
with money definitely have more control.
Yes, and they can control on a public forum how certain things are perceived and discussed because they have the money. And when I say advertise, what I truthfully mean is donate and lobby. That's what they do. They donate and lobby to platforms to get their point of view.
Yeah, of course, on certain platforms they can, but on certain platforms they can't. Like, let's say X, for example.
Well, absolutely, because it's free speech. So this is where we're going back into... I'm only going back over this because we talked about it earlier when you guys were saying the primary objective of the media is to make money. And I said...
That is the primary objective. I mean, there's really no arguing that.
Okay, well, if that's their case, then they're going to take money from the large centralized power structures and they're going to purport any false version of reality that it takes them to make as much money as possible.
Right, but you don't know... You have no proof or any verifiable anything that says that it is a false version of reality. That's the problem. Tate's just trying to sell you being uncomfortable. You should always question the system. It's healthy to have like reasonable skepticism, but that's Tate's entire brand. Is he just sells fear to people in hopes that they'll fucking guzzle his cum. So
donated the money to make as much money as possible.
If that's in the best interest of the shareholders, perhaps. I'd like to think that shareholders have an ethical side of things too, and if they see that happening, they're not going to be as interested in investing in that company. So, I mean, I think the board of directors and the shareholders are going to have the ultimate say there, and I don't think most people want that.
But do you think you were censored for money?
I didn't hear you.
Do you think your account, you and Brian's accounts, were banned for monetary purposes? Did they make more money by banning you guys?
No.
Do you say that contradicts the point?
Our accounts were banned because
they broke the rules, didn't they?
They thought we purchased their accounts, which we didn't.
No, sorry. What I meant was they thought you did. It wasn't because you had said like an impact on society, and that's the reason they wanted to ban you, right?
They banned me. Yeah, they banned our accounts because they thought we were breaking their terms of service. But I would add that was a business decision that they thought would help the business. So
do you think Andrew? Sorry, Brian. I thought it was Ed. Brian, do you think Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes, they were banned because the platforms wanted to make more money? Because Stripe wanted to make more money, they banned them.
Yeah, I do. I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I imagine that there was like a level of advertisement revenue that they felt like they might be missing by having them on there. Sure.
That they saw them as somebody hampering advertising.
I mean, there also are people running these companies. So to say that there wasn't like a personal investment of like, yeah, we think that this person's like really shitty, let's get them off there. There's probably a factor there as well. But okay.
Or hampering.
And do you think that? And do you think this model is flawed, where advertisers
hampering their image? I think hampering their image, which hampers their revenue, right?
Let me ask
That's just an
let me
alibi,
ask a simpler question. So you're saying effectively that,
And just to be clear, Andrew Tate is there's tremendous amounts of, you know, I mean, there's tremendous amounts of what I'm saying, evidence that he is a legitimate sex trafficking rapist. So him getting banned is not a bad thing. Just to be clear,
mainstream media will lie for money, correct?
Well, I mean, if you lie as a
sometimes.
mainstream media outlet and you're caught in that lie, it's going to hurt you it's going to hurt your revenue.
That's not what I asked. I'm
That's a
asking,
good
do you,
point,
if I use Pfizer because it's the example we used earlier before Destiny has a breakdown. If Pfizer come along and they are sponsoring, donating, advertising, lobbying, whatever you want to call it,
he made like one small counter push, and it's like, oh, before Destiny has a meltdown. Okay.
X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars to your news network, and you're talking pro-vaccine, would the mainstream media lie for money? So yes or no?
I mean, I think that depends on
They might lie sometimes, but I think that's reasonable to say, like, oh, they may not want to lie because if they get caught, it's going to hurt their credibility.
the individual who's making that decision. But I mean, if I
Didn't Tucker get like caught lying? That's why they fired him for Fox News, and he was saying that he didn't believe what he was saying. What?
was running the mainstream media, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I think you have a reputation. If you get caught in a lie, that's going to hurt you monetarily in the long run. It's going to hurt you from a standpoint of...
that would be true unless your primary objective was to spread lies and for you to be paid to spread lies. And as long
being Andrew Tate.
as you spread the lies, you continue to get paid because nobody buys what you sell. Nobody gives a shit.
Well, I don't think none of these companies have the money to solo fund like an entire social media platform. Like, I feel like the analysis stops with, if somebody pays you $100 to lie, will you do it? The answer is yes, but everybody that's a large creator on this platform knows that if you got paid $100 to lie, you wouldn't take it, because if people found out you were lying, your losses would be way more than the little bit of money you get paid to do the lie.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely true. That's why I don't lie, guys. Okay? Not because I'm a good person, because they'll take my money.
Yeah, that's crazy. People pay you even
man, we're talking billions.
Your marriage not exploding.
Kind of like, Nick, how you lie about every single thing you do. So, for instance, we were talking about deplatforming, and Nick is talking about the blacklist that we're on. The only reason Nick, by the way, is blacklisted is
what Andrew was saying.
spam reporting people. That's the only reason
Andrew, but what you...
Oh, so apparently Nick Fuentes was blacklisted for spam reporting people in Destiny's community. Interesting.
You said is that social. I think the media will lie.
Thank you for the $2, Admiral Abdomen. What's your opinion on the Drake and Kendrick beef? I don't know, man. Maybe I'll watch a video about it later. Okay.
For money, I think you're right there, and I think Ed cannot disagree. But then, isn't that going?
Maybe tomorrow we'll do JoJo Siwa and the Drake and Josh beef. Okay.
To be their downfall. Like, this is not.
Well, this is the thing.
They mentioned mistrust.
Well, this is the missing element. They will lie for money, and then we're talking about how that's going to damage their reputation.
I mean, literally, Tucker Carlson let Andrew Tate go on to his platform and say that he's being his whole arrest has to do with him over TikTok. And no girls came forward against him, and he never did any of these bad things, despite the fact that even if you don't believe Tate did it, the lawsuit, multiple women came forward, and it's about him being a sex trafficking rapist. So he's obviously lying. He just lies constantly, confidently, but it works for some uneducated people. So,
which has happened. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them anymore. And everyone's missing the very obvious point that it's their job to lie for money. They've always lied for money. They'll tell any narrative they're told to tell by the big money and the big finance. That's the only reason
who are
exist
they?
is to lie
Who
for
are
money.
they?
Why would
who
they?
are they?
Why?
Like, can you name an individual? Is it the CEO of CNN? Is it, who?
It's global. It's going to change, right? The COVID-19 narrative is different than the Ukraine narrative. Perhaps they're all on the same team, but it's people with large.
What does that mean? What is the COVID-19 narrative? Like, it's gone away. If the government wanted to control us permanently, they would have tried to, but it's gone away. Like, it was like we've had outbreaks before. There's like we've learned about the bubonic plague. I don't understand. Like, why are people still skeptical? I don't understand. It was annoying as shit, but it was very real. People were dying. I saw it. It's like these people who used to, and I understand that I'm very online now, but these people who used to do their entire world was online. They're like, this was never a problem. What the fuck? It's like, what are you, stupid?
Everybody in I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. You're right. But to say that the mainstream media would lie for money, like everybody in the mainstream media, their goal is to lie for money, just to put money in their pockets, and they're willing to tell lies. That's ridiculous. I mean, you're judging every individual person.
It's not ridiculous. It's why they exist.
No, it is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The mainstream media.
If they promote vaccine misinformation, people were all losing their jobs if they were to promote anti-vaccine content or anti-vaccine misinformation, which has direct harm to the people that are getting these injuries. Like, we're talking about a misinformation that has direct harm to humans, and we're talking.
Yeah, like the vaccine misinformation was harmful to people. People were dying. So
Drew's bringing up a point where if they lie for money when Pfizer is paying them, which they did during COVID, and then what did they lie about during COVID? I have no problems taking a look. What is it that they lied about during COVID? not reporting.
Like, are we talking about the offhand comment about how, like, oh, you'll be immune to the vaccine if you take this? I mean, okay. Generally speaking, it's very well known that like vaccines will reduce the overall negative impact if you do get the virus and make it more difficult to get the virus. That's pretty much the claim. That's how everything has been. So
on vaccine injuries, then this is a lie that has direct harm to humans. That
Wait, are we saying should those be banned? Should that be made illegal? If you lie and you get paid money for it, should that be like a free speech thing where you're in trouble for that?
Well, here's the real
That's a new debate angle on that one.
point, though. I feel like we're missing, guys. I feel like we're missing a very pertinent point. The only reason mainstream media exists at all is to lie. I don't know why we're trying to pretend that's not the case.
Yes, because alternative media definitely doesn't lie. It's so funny because like if you're a conservative sitting here like, oh yeah, the alternative media always tells the truth. Hassan is alternative media. Hassan goes on Twitter and reads unverified posts from people and goes, oh my God, this is a fact because I want to believe it when it comes to like Israel-Palestine. So, you know, I understand the desire for alternative media sources because it can be difficult to trust mainstream media. Totally understandable. But to sit here and pretend that alternative media is better, it's just fucking stupid. Okay, it's just ridiculous.
The reason it
I think
pumped out free everywhere.
It's just buzzwords. It's just, yeah, they're being paid. They're promoting an agenda. They're doing this. They're doing that. Marching orders. It's all dog whistles. It's the same thing as like fucking, oh, it's grooming. It's pedophilia. It's this. It's all, there's tons of buzzwords. Might as well be like fucking blueberries at this point. Superfoods. Oh, blueberries, guys. Oh, they're the best. Electrolytes, you know.
All of the time and forced on everyone's throat all of the time and every single lobby everywhere is to lie. They get their objectives that they're supposed to purport to the populace. Their job is to lie. And to sit and say, well, if they lie, they won't be trusted. Correct. Nobody trusts them. Correct. They've been lying for money all this time. That's exactly where we are. So how is this confusing for anybody?
So Andrew, when does a media outlet become the mainstream media or part of the mainstream media? At what point?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, you have state broadcasters for a lot of countries, and I'm sure that in each different country, you have their state broadcaster with their particular narrative they want to push and enforce. I'm sure the Chinese state broadcaster and the Russian state broadcaster and the British state broadcaster will look at the same series of events with a completely different spin and a completely different narrative that they'll try and push to the populace, which they think is best in their national interest, which means it comes from above. It's not organic. It's not just accidental. They put together the narratives they're told to, and they push it to the population. They're professional liars. That is their job.
But don't you think that every media outlet wants to reach that point of being considered the mainstream media because that means they're the biggest media in the country? So at a certain point,
there's like 5
conglomerates. At a certain point, you become part of the mainstream media, right?
Those 5.
So at that point, do you just start lying? Like I mean, it's a ridiculous.
I will say again, you should always be skeptical, but I think it's a sad world to live in when you think everything is always a conspiracy and a lie because you'll never be happy. I don't think that Tate actually feels that way. I think he's just manipulating people for money, but it has to be a sad existence to not be able to take any information at all and like to not only think everything's a conspiracy because you're going to develop a victim complex, but to not be able to be intelligent enough to parse through information is also part of it. One of the ways that like different media companies will lie is they'll usually do like double speak. They'll say something in a way that implies something else. I can't give you an example right now. I don't have the fucking brain energy to do it, but they'll say something that people that are like can read between the lines will know what they're saying, but dumb people will be like, oh my God, you know, they did that. You know, like if somebody's like, oh, there's an allegation against somebody that they did this horrible thing. You're smart enough to know that it's just an allegation, but there are dumb people who are like, this is a fact. This definitely happened. This, you know, that it's kind of like that.
What's ridiculous to say that there's like a free market for media. There's 5 major conglomerates that own most of the media. So to pretend this idea of like, well, they're rising and falling and they're in competition. There's like 5 major
they rise and fall.
They control most of the media. And there is some, you know, within margin, but nobody would ever say that like some tiny publication that could be founded by an individual is going to blow up and compete with the big 5 conglomerates like News Corp, 21st Century Fox, and Disney.
And they wouldn't let it. And they wouldn't let it. Guys, let's be hyper realistic here. I said earlier about the control of people and influence over people is the only true war. Tanks and bullets are the last resort to do that. It's much easier to use social media and narrative control and the MSM, etc., to control the populace as opposed to putting them all at gunpoint.
This is like a legitimate conspiracy thing. There are probably people who really like this. They're probably really into this. Like, yeah, you're so right, Andrew. You know, whatever their life experience that led them to this point has really made them trust the word of a fucking sex trafficking rapist. Excuse me. It's fucking crazy.
The idea that you can just stand up and tell the truth and you're going to have a broadcasting organization inside of the UK bigger than the BBC and you're just going to talk against the government and you're just going to tell the truth and be Mr. Honest, they're going to let you get bigger than the BBC without catching a fucking bullet is asinine. Look at what's happening to people who have Twitter accounts. Not just my story, Nick's story, Alex Jones' story, a bunch of people with Twitter accounts who end up in a cell for having a Twitter account, let alone a broadcasting corp. To sit and believe that, who becomes the mainstream and you can just go and make a news channel and maybe you'll get in. It's one big club and you're not in it. And it's control.
So Andrew, you haven't answered my question before. So when you say they, the mainstream media, are you talking about, let's say...
I mean, you could work for those organizations. organizations, no?
Chris Cuomo when he was on CNN. Are you talking like is he being fed this information?
I'll be honest. I'll be very honest with you. What I think of mainstream news broadcasters, I think they're idiots who are dragged from obscurity and they sit down in front of a teleprompter. And I think anybody can do their job. And Don
you talked to Tucker and you liked him a lot, no?
Lemon's monumental failure has proved that perfectly. Because since he left CNN, nobody's given a shit. I think he has 500 views on any of his videos. He's some random idiot they plucked from obscurity, sat him down, he read the teleprompter. It's not about who reads the teleprompter, sir. It's about who decides what's on the teleprompter in the first place. That's the
Who's that? Who's the one that decides the teleprompter?
actual discussion we're having here. It's nothing to do with which jackass could sell his soul and sit down and read the garbage.
So many of those shows that individual, whoever has that show, they have their team, and they're not necessarily being fed everything they have to say. They're allowed to have opinions themselves.
My friend, and I call you my friend. So you
I'm glad you're calling me
about to call you an idiot. Because you're an idiot, sir.
Tucker Carlson said the exact same thing, that he had basically full editorial.
Didn't Tucker get fired for having an opinion that went outside of the narrative of Fox News?
Tucker got fired for losing lots of money, baby.
Oh, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying on air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually defending is misinformation and lies, which is supposed to be something you guys are against, I thought.
Which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me, Destiny.
Please educate me, Destiny.
Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit. There were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all.
You don't know anything. You don't read the media. That's why you're out here saying things like they get marching orders from everybody. You don't know how any of these media companies are structured. You don't know where the teams get their information from. People that work in media are the most social media hungry people in the universe. You think that all these people in all these networks across all these countries are getting fed the same marching orders and nobody's leaked anything, nobody's complained about anything, nobody's said anything? And why do we think that mainstream media is any more insulated from these problems than alternative media is? You guys will make fun of the marching orders from mainstream media, but I bet every single alternative media guy in here is anti-vax, thinks COVID came from a bioweapons lab, thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine, thinks that all the charges against Donald Trump are made up, thinks that we shouldn't be supporting Israel. You guys have literally copy-pasted the same opinions between every single one of you, and you guys are talking like an army of NPCs about how the mainstream media gives you like fabricated opinions.
I mean, that's true. I mean, that's the reality. It's one of those things where you have woke and then you have anti-woke. All of them are just anti-woke. They're just opposite what everybody else thinks. They're the kind of people who just need to feel unique. They feel unique by agreeing or disagreeing with the mainstream narrative together. That's feel unique. It's fucking ridiculous.
Doesn't make sense.
Yes, we do all think the truth. That is.
Oh, crazy how truth can be a perspective there, huh? But when you all think the same thing, it's not a conspiracy, but the mainstream media does. It is a conspiracy. Crazy how that works.
I just said that different state-sponsored broadcasters would have conflicting points of view.
But they don't. Do you watch any media? Have you followed any media? They don't typically have conflicting opinions. When you're reporting on international media, the stories are more or less the same.
And a BBC segment, they often directly conflict.
No, very rarely. On the facts, no. Maybe if you're watching a pundit or you're reading op-eds, they will. But if you have any amount of media literacy, a really great example that works against your Israel stuff, by the way, was the reporting of that Al-Awsi hospital bombing, where everybody was saying that Israel bombed that parking lot. Every single mainstream media outlet in the world ran with that story for 2 days. I mean, how did that work if Israel controls the media? Or how does that work if they all give conflicting accounts and reports? So because
that's a good point.
It's because everybody relies on people that are reporting on the ground. It goes through their media teams. They publish what they think is right. Sometimes people fuck up. But there doesn't have to be a top-down conspiracy to explain why.
They should have changed the headlines very quickly, Destiny.
After more information came out. Yes, sir. That's how it works.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it works. Once you realize you fucked up, you change. You hopefully retract and change your story. No, isn't that how you're supposed to do it?
When fake news came out,
so naive. There have been so many lies, specifically about wars. It's insane that you would even bring that up. Before the 2020 election, there was a big story about how Russians were putting a bounty on the head of American soldiers in Iraq. You remember this? And they said,
I don't remember that.
Trump is allying with Russia, who's killing our soldiers. Then a year after, and by the way, that's after the election, they came out and said, yeah, that wasn't true. They came out and said, see, well, we source our intelligence on the ground. Some of it has a high degree of confidence and some of it has a low degree. And this one had no degree of confidence. But it took them a year to correct it after it had already served its purpose. Same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop. They totally put the lid on that one because they said, we were told it's Russian disinformation. Turned out to be authentic after the election. Just like.
Yeah, well, I love looking at Hunter Biden's cock and his coke addiction. It's very important politically to me.
The 40 beheaded babies. 40 beheaded babies. 40 babies and their heads are off. I can't believe it. And then they found out in December, after Israel had already invaded, after they blockaded Gaza, after everything, they said, oh, yeah, that was all fabricated. It's a complete lie. Same thing with Ukraine. I remember when we debated, they said Russia blew up a nuclear reactor because they're trying to do another Chernobyl. Turned out that.
Thank you so much for the large gut. Oh, that's a big one from H. Hart. I want to see Destiny's response to these.
That was bullshit. So those are just
incredible stuff. Thank you so much for the large gut. I really appreciate that.
Like off the top of my head, 5 examples about 3 different conflicts.
What am I playing right now? I'm playing Season of Discovery on Wild Growth Alliance, World of Warcraft.
Where, they reported it serves its purpose, and then they revise it a year later after they got what they wanted. And you, because you believe their alibi, because you don't understand the distinction between power and powerless, between government and people, you say, no, I think they got more information. They found out that the propaganda that they created for their efficient purpose, they found out that was a lie because, these are just really earnest people like you and I trying to get it right, as opposed to very interested parties in government, finance, wherever you find it. So those are just a few examples off the top of my head. They learn more information, just like in Iraq, right? They learned there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Possible because it happened on the other side too. How many people were saying, there's no way that Russia's going to invade invade Ukraine. That's bullshit. The U.S. intelligence must be lying because Nick said that they lie about the intel all the time. Well, guess what? That happened. Oh, well, there are no fighters in Al-Shifa Hospital. That can't possibly be the case. Oh, whoops, we found CCTV footage that shows otherwise. Oh, no, hydroxychloroquine is a way better drug than remdesivir. Like, oh, this is going to be the ivermectin is going to save all of us. Oh, looks like none of that was true. Oh, people get things wrong. Some people lie. Like, you have to be intelligent enough to call out fault. That wasn't even a syllogism.
That's a false syllogism.
No. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't know that these stories are intent, because again, if like Destiny had said, if they're trying to push like a pro-Israel stance or perspective on everything, then why would these media companies report about the incorrectly report about the rocket being from Israel, right? I mean, it makes sense.
Oh, that wasn't.
Thank you so much for the $5 from Conrad Corbel. I'm a free thinker. I only think about things that are free. Why aren't my taxes buy one get one free? I want two governments for the price of one. That's okay. Interesting.
Even a syllogism, dipshit. Listen, people get things wrong sometimes. You have to be more intelligent. You've got to be more sophisticated when you go through media. You have to understand sometimes people they get shit wrong. Sometimes people do lie. But why the do you trust people who in alternative media who are like teams of like 1 to 4 highly ideologically driven people versus entire media conglomerates that are being fact checked or have like dozens or sometimes hundreds of workers in some of these offices? Like the ability for you to lie about something is going to be way higher.
How much do you know about the CIA's history of influencing media?
What an amazing question. I don't know. How much do you know about...
I often don't hear people like you and Ed and Brian digging into the history of the national intelligence state directly influencing media.
Because history is different. Like if you want to talk about U.S. foreign policy between like the 40s and before the the fall of the Soviet Union, that's going to be a different type of foreign policy, different approach than our foreign policy over the past like 34 years. Also, the ability to sneak or hide different things is going to be different when everybody is carrying around a video camera and a recorder. Like
that's a good point too. Everybody has their fucking camera out all the goddamn time. It's annoying as shit.
Ability to do things covertly is a lot easier back in the day when people were typewriting to each other or.
I have to go. I have to go. Buried. Yeah, do your thing, Andrew.
Sorry, brother. I have to go.
Well, I mean, they could make the argument that that's like alternative media is part of the structure that holds people accountable, which I think is generally, I'm all for a dog pile, a fucking crazy little event,
I want to ask a really quick question. Destiny, I want to understand your worldview because you and I have a different worldview, it seems, especially on girlfriends, etc. But
okay. He's so fucking stupid.
We won't go down that path. Do you think it would be prudent and professional for a country to allow its state broadcaster, which speaks to its populace, to report whatever it wanted and whatever it discovered without any kind of moderation or input, even if it was directly adverse to the goals and aims of the national security of said country or the military-industrial complex of that country? Do you think they would allow the state broadcaster to just report whatever it wanted fairly without anyone telling them what to say or any narratives to hold, even if it's directly counter to the interests of very powerful entities within that nation? Do you believe that we operate in a world that fair?
Yes.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Because confidence is a valuable thing. And if your country doesn't trust you, doesn't trust the media, but doesn't trust the leaders, and if you've got ways to hold them accountable, like via voting, then yeah, if you fuck around with your population and people find out, you're going to be held accountable for it. Arguably, that's why Trump won his election. You can say that like, oh, well, the media lies to everybody and everybody lies to everybody. That might be true. Fine. Then why the fuck should we believe anything any of you guys say, right? At that point, you're in an epistemic, nihilistic black hole of nothingness where you can't believe anybody.
The fact that you believe a country X, will have military aims, it will have agricultural aims, it will have political ambitions, it will have trade aims, whatever they are, to compete.
I mean, listen, there might be government influence on different things that are being said. Absolutely. Of course. I mean, that's what we call propaganda. Am I right, guys? It is what it is, baby,
In this globalized market, and they need their population to believe a certain point of view to be as competitive as possible against the other nations.
And
they're just going to allow their state broadcaster to broadcast whatever they want, even if it's counter to their own narratives and interests. It's so ridiculously naive. That's not what happens.
It's not naive. You don't even understand how markets work. You know what naive is thinking that companies with a market cap of $100 billion have more say in our government than like...
The Daily Mail starts talking about war with Russia in the UK only a fucking couple months ago. Endless war with Russia, conscription, how it needs to happen. On a dime, all of the BBC, all of the British news starts talking about how important it is to go to war with Russia because that's the aim that they had from their military-industrial complex. And the broadcaster and the media arm of the government works directly with their foreign policy aims. It's all directly going together. Not a single newspaper printed, this is dumb shit. Nobody should go to get their ass whooped by the Russians. Not a single one because they are not allowed to.
If that's the case, then why didn't Trump shut down all negative media about him when he was president? If that's the case, why didn't Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Barack Obama shut down all negative media about them? You guys bring up the best counterexample to you is that Hunter Biden laptop story. Why did that get censored for one day? Why wasn't that story completely killed?
Wasn't heavily suppressed.
Yeah, no, wait. Why wasn't that story killed completely?
I mean, the real conversation is like how much influence could like an individual in the government have to censor the government or to censor the media? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I guess it depends. I have no fucking idea. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of negative stories that come out about every politician constantly. So to say, at least in America, that we have this widespread problem, it's very doubtful. I mean, maybe you want to argue, like he was arguing, I think, like more public access type stuff, but they get money from the government too. But I don't know. In America, I don't think we have the same problems. I mean, we have opposing media sources. I don't think that the government has as much control over things that we want to believe. I think that like the 9/11 was an inside job conspiracy. That's like one of those copes where you would just want to believe that we couldn't be fucked over by another group of people. I don't know how corrupt. I mean, I don't know how much influence the government has in purporting, like, pushing false information, specifically through the media. I'm not saying that they don't lie about things, because they have their own ability to say things, right? And the media covers it. But I'm not sure that that's happening to this like widespread degree. I mean, you see, like, CNN tends to run defense for Palestine, Fox tends to run defense for Israel. I mean, you know, it's just different sides have different opinions. I don't know how much impact the government really has. I mean, maybe I'm just being naive, but
that is the most talked about story. Your example of media censorship is like the most talked about story in the past 10 years of online media.
It's talked about online on social media, yes, but it was suppressed in the MSM, which is the exact point.
No, it was suppressed on Twitter. The New York Post story, the big deal about that, the big deal about Twitter was, the big deal about the New York Post story was it being suppressed on Twitter and Facebook, but it came back in like a day. So the question is if the government, if the government is able to control things so well, why didn't they shut that story down completely?
Destiny, let me ask you a question on that. Isn't that
good question?
Because they censored it because there was a specific reason to do so, because the reason you censor it is because you want the election to go in a certain way. Once the election's over...
Well, wasn't it because Hunter Biden had a nice cock?
Do that? Didn't the intel...
I think that Trump tried to censor that because Hunter Biden ended up having a real nice cock and he didn't want people to see it, that it was nicer than his.
Agencies tell them to suppress that?
No, if you actually read the Twitter files, I know how much you hate reading. If you actually read them? No, they didn't. No. Nobody told Twitter to censor the New York Post story. They literally leaked the emails where they talk about censoring the story. I don't know why you guys say the intelligence agencies told them to do it.
So all of the mainstream media all ran with this has been debunked, and they all cited the letter that came from the National Security State, which was signed by 51 intel operatives.
They didn't say that it was debunked. They said it looked like Russian misinformation. Which, if you're honest, it did, but it did.
They started all of their articles with that statement in order to frame it in the exact same way that Nick was saying that every article about Nick is framed by the first sentence being Nicholas J. Fuentes, this, evil things, so that when you read the article, you're pre-framed to believe Nick Fuentes is an evil human. Or
no, it's not even remotely the same. It looked like a fishy story. Any honest actor, like I'm pretty sure at this point we all know the laptop story is real, but even looking at it,
it's like that is a story.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm not too educated on the laptop story. My understanding is that Hunter Biden is a drug addict and he would fuck prostitutes. That's pretty much it. So
I'm sorry, hold on. The idea that Hunter Biden dropped off a laptop years ago to like a blind computer store owner, yeah, that is a sensational story. That sounds like bullshit. It still sounds like bullshit, even if it's true. But again, like the Deep State has so much control sometimes, like censoring stories, but it couldn't have prevented the New York Post from publishing it. Why? It couldn't go and like take that hard drive out of Giuliani's. Giuliani had balls. Oh my God! So it only takes one journalist to shut down the entire. Also, by the way, like a quasi-mainstream media journalist. This is the New York Post. It's not like we're talking about like a small YouTube channel or something, right? So even the New York
published that story, and then the entire media narrative had to shift in order to discredit the story as quickly.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that it takes one person with balls to shift the entire media narrative, then we have hundreds or thousands of people in media, if not more. So wouldn't those individuals be the ones that are stopping too much misinformation from going on? I'm not understanding.
As humanly possible. And the entire national security complex mobilized and got 51 of their top experts, like ex-director of the CIA, ex-director of the NSA, the people that had architected their entire national security state, the people that had lied to us about torture, that had lied to us about WMD.
Yes, I understand. You can talk about things from 20 years ago. That's fine. But the reality is, and look who's
torture based. That's what more like based.
And look who broke it.
Thank you so much for the small gut from Big Dom Rep. Thank you, brother.
The most mainstream media people in the world. Giuliani had a copy of the drive. This is a mainstream ex-mayor of New York, and then the New York Post, a mainstream media publication. Giuliani was not mainstream. How old are you?
So let me ask you.
Wait. Hold on. I want to hear this. You don't think the New York Post counts as mainstream media, and you don't think Giuliani wasn't a mainstream political figure in the United States of America?
New York Post absolutely counts as mainstream media. What I'm saying is that a singular journalist got the scent, got the trail, and decided to write the story.
But I'm asking, how is that possible? And that was a mainstream media publication. How would that be possible? The CIA and the NSA and the FBI are controlling all these things.
You clearly haven't done a lot of research on how the CIA and actually do.
And your mic is really bad, but just so what you're saying, Destiny, is that
I mean, what Destiny is saying is that there doesn't seem to be a conspiracy that suppresses all this information, or else this information would have been suppressed. And if you say, well, no, it was just one rogue agent going against the mainstream narrative, then like, what if that just always happens and there's constantly rogue agents? I'm not saying trust everything the media, the government says, but I think that some of the corruption ideas, like we know the corruption in our government. It's like we have to come up with some kind of like magical. Where's the corruption? The corruption is when like lobbying groups, is lobby for massively expensive fucking healthcare and don't let us to be able to have like a level of control over our own healthcare to make it cheaper, more affordable, especially medications, right? It doesn't. That's where it manifests itself. We know what the corruption is. It's like we want to create a new boogeyman to like shift the thing. But no, we're just very normalized with our corruption. We don't really care enough about it. We're just like, yeah, it's just kind of is what it is. A guy bought insulin and fucking increased the price by like 100, and that's just it. We don't. It's like, oh wow, yeah. Something to really be very normal about, you know.
Go ahead,
Keith.
saying is that when you actually research how the CIA influences journalists, it's not like journalists are literal robots where the CIA has a literal game controller where they actually like move their mouths. They peddle influence through payoffs or through like promotions or through just making friendships. Like it's not as simple as just saying we
I love Friends.
Literally control everything that everyone says. That's not how the world works.
No, it's not. Hold on, no. It's easier to censor one story by like contacting a journalist and threatening his family than it would be to falsely get like every single intelligence agency or like 51 different officials on board with censoring a story. It doesn't make sense. It would be way easier to get the one journalist guy like to just like show up at his house and steal the drive.
Experts work for them.
Well, Comey works for them. The DOJ works for them. Why did they pursue the email investigation with Hillary? Why didn't they just kill that immediately? Why did Comey ever make those announcements publicly? It hurt him a lot. Why did this story with the DOJ with the special prosecutor come out with Biden being senile? That hurts him as well. Like there's a
That's true. Biden is also fucking crazy, but they would just say we couldn't hide it. But why didn't you just make him a robot, you silly little goose? Thank you for the $2 from Big Dom Rep. El Sneako, love seeing the spiral. Yeah, very base.
whole bunch of stuff that they report on themselves on that doesn't make them look good. Is it all plausible deniability?
Destiny, I have a question. I'm curious.
Oh yeah, they're just letting through some information that makes them look bad, so that they could say that it doesn't happen. This way, Destiny will defend them so hard. Oh my god, dude, we figured it out. Holy shit, Destiny's uncovered it. Holy fuck.
Go, Andrew.
Oh my god.
Do you believe that in China, the state broadcaster can just broadcast whatever it wants and whatever it discovers, or do you believe it has to work within an official narrative from the government?
I mean, China, I would say, is a little bit different than America. They put Muslims in camps and they don't let them out and don't let media in. So I think they're probably held to different standards than us.
In China, I think they probably have to work with official narratives in the government. This media probably works close to the state.
And what about in Russia?
Yes. For publications like RT, yes.
I mean, that's why America #1, baby. You could say whatever, you know, we have more freedoms in America, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Saudi?
I don't know as much about Saudi media, but that would be my assumption. It's a total monarchy, yeah.
But in the West, not at all, 0%, right?
Well, it depends on the country you're talking about. Like the BBC gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. PBS gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. I think in general in the West, I don't think the media tends to operate at the behest of the state. Whereas like in monarchies or dictatorships, you tend to operate more with what the state is telling you to do, yes.
Well, we could ask why you get state funding without state direction. That's one question. But so
because of legislation from Congress that authorizes state funding? I mean, it's not...
I mean, that's what makes Western countries #1, though, is that we're generally more free. We know that we're more free because we live a freer lifestyle every single day. Like, there are countries you can't leave your house as a woman without a hat on and a man to escort you somewhere. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that the countries that do that are probably going to be more restrictive of their freedom of speeches or whatever speech gets pushed out.
Not really a huge conspiracy.
Of course, yeah, they just give money for nothing. Yes, fine.
I'm sorry, do you think the most wealthy broadcasters work for PBS and NPR?
Yeah, dude, PBS, fucking Elmo, is he on there? I don't know.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I know you don't.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. No, well, I think the answer is no. Those probably aren't the most financially sound, broadcasters. Probably not making the most money working for fucking NPR. But
try and get to the end of the point, especially because I'm driving. So, do you think that would allow a country to be competitive, considering that you need to have narrative control over your populace, and that we now know, and everyone in the West accepts that China has narrative control over its populace via the state broadcaster, as does Russia, as does Saudi Arabia, as do all these other countries?
Yeah, because these countries aren't free.
And that having a news broadcasting,
and also like people from China and Russia will come to America and they're like, yeah, these people were fucking. Once they're safe, they'll be like, yeah, this is all the things that are happening. It's fucked up. I've never seen somebody from America go to any other country and go like, yeah, China was so bad. I mean, America was so bad. They restricted our this. Like people, we already know in the way that we're bad. We fucking our healthcare is outrageous. It's like all of our corruption is on fucking display. Whereas other countries do the best that they can to control like the narrative more than we do. I'll tell you that.
Apparatus which told the truth, even if it's against national security interests, would not allow you to be competitive as a nation state. Do you think that we're going to allow that to happen just because we care about truth so much?
No, because the West doesn't run the world because they dominate the narrative. The West runs the world because
we got money, motherfucker, and a powerful military.
Because they dominate it militarily and economically. People don't like the United States because we've got the most bought and paid for media. They like the United States because we have the strongest navy that guarantees the most free passage through water. Because when the Houthis start firing missiles at people, it's U.S. destroyers that show up and save the waterways. They like the United States because we are a massive trading partner. We have the highest GDP in the world at this point, and we buy and sell goods like crazy. That's why people like us, not because we poison our media, but because we actually put out good results.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
You can't control the media. You can't media frame the way out of like horrible participation in a world economy. You just have to like actually be able to put up the numbers.
No, I don't think you understood the point I'm asking, because America as a country is in competition with other nation states, right?
No, but we don't compete on who can control the narrative. That's shit you do on Twitter and YouTube. We compete on who has the highest number of exports. We compete on who can facilitate like the largest like multilateral trade deals. We compete on who can guarantee safe passage through waterways. When people start blowing each other up, whose military is going to show up to make sure that your ships are safe? Those are the things that we compete on.
Cool, understand. So you think that America has no vested interest in controlling the narratives that its own population believes in, although the CIA spends basically unlimited money ensuring that.
I think that America, I wouldn't doubt that America or whatever entities in America would try their best to control particular narratives, but it's difficult because we've set up a structure that makes you have to that gives individuals freedom of speech and expression, right? I couldn't imagine that there are as many people walking around in China with their cell phone out like going, oh look, the police are being corrupt. Meanwhile here, this is all the things that are happening. I've never seen a single fucking police officer auditor from China. I see constantly on YouTube from America, though. We have more structures in place that makes it harder for the government to lie to us. So even if you want to say all governments want to lie just as much as every other government, we have more freedoms to protect ourselves from that. That's the whole point. Is it perfect? No, but it's much better than other shit. So
vested interests are installed in every other nation state around the world.
If you
They
think
don't care about their own at all.
Yeah.
They don't care about what Americans think at all. They just care about what all the other countries think.
If you think the CIA spends unlimited money, it's because you don't know what unlimited money looks like, and you have no idea what the scale is between like CIA spending and spending of companies like Facebook or Apple or Microsoft or Amazon. Like if you guys at least were to come on and say things like, I think that all of our foreign policy is being ran by the people that control like Apple and Facebook, that would at least make sense. But by companies that are worth, like tens of billions or like $100 billion, no, absolutely not. And also, no, the reputational hit you would take in a democracy when you elect your leaders and people catch you lying about stuff or fabricating stories or controlling the media. No, I don't think you.
Lying. Oh, never called them lying.
Is this supposed to be a death wish?
Nobody ever said. Hold on. Nobody ever said.
I mean, they called Anthony Weiner sending his wiener to somebody, and now I don't even think he's a politician anymore. Because I guess he didn't have a nice enough wiener.
Said they never. Nobody ever said. Nobody
influence other populations, but they have no interest at all in influencing the minds of their own populace. No, they just care about trying to influence everybody else's with their democracy and all the garbage they're doing when they're pushing it. And you're saying they don't control the narrative, which is also
democracy #1, baby. I mean, it's so funny that he's talking about like pushing control over other countries, but we constantly criticize that. Like people in America will. I mean, I don't. To be honest with you, I think we should spread our influence as much as possible. But you have massive like lefties all over America that are talking about how terrible it is that we're trying to spread our influence. So everything that America does gets called out in America by somebody in America. That's the entire point of like freedom of speech. We have the most free speech in the world, I think. Generally speaking. Thank you so much, Nopal Jesus, for the small god. Thank you.
also another rabbit hole we need to go down.
I mean, technically, your story isn't even contradictory. Even if I let you have that, because technically Americans don't really give a f as in other countries as much as their own. So you could get away with influencing other countries more than your own. Yeah, of course. But the reality is that like if you get caught doing these lies, you pay huge fucking repercussions for it. Like a lot of the country's politics
for COVID.
What did they pay
for COVID?
There was no not for nothing, but there was no robust COVID misinformation. Like, I don't know what to tell you, okay? I think people keep quoting, like, the time where Biden said that you would fucking magically disappear if you got the vaccine because he's an old senile fuck or something. But generally speaking, we understand that, like, COVID vaccines reduce the spread and the intensity of the spread. That's how every vaccine always works. I don't know what to tell you, like, at this point. But the general like, of the small things that might have been gotten wrong, generally speaking, the narrative was right. We'll say 99% right about COVID, so... thank you for the $5 from Conrad Cobol again. Okay, but what if controlling media, and who controls the media? Bears. Okay, we're really doing this bear thing today, huh? Don't believe the lies from Panda Express, state-run propaganda. That's true, because Panda does ride with propaganda. So you actually got a really good point on that.
What did they pay for the Vietnam War? What did they pay for the weapons?
The media coverage for the Vietnam War was harmful to U.S. institutions. That's one of the reasons why we left Vietnam. If we controlled the media, we would have stayed in Vietnam until we saw it through.
That's true.
Media pressure is one of the reasons we left. Look at how unpopular the Iraq War became. You don't think Obama wanted to take a more active role in the Middle East? He couldn't because the American public fucking hates everything in the Middle East after the Iraq War. What are you talking about? Yeah. American public heavily influences our capability of operating in different theories.
See, this is why I would never have these conversations or debates, bro. I wouldn't be able to pull these out of my balls. You know, I couldn't do this kind of stuff. There's no fucking point. It's more fun to just watch this entertainment through Destiny. Let's be fucking real here.
There's a war. After Iraq and Afghanistan, we have no appetite for it.
Okay. Is this supposed to be about me being...
Mostly because I'm not a fucking nerd. With a girl black stripper name.
unbanned, or is this about the #1 fucking news media truster to defend the State Department's agenda? Like, I don't even know what this is about anymore.
Sure. Yeah, I want to jump in here. I mean, because I thought
this is a fucking crazy 30-on-1.
The purpose of this space was discussing next censorship. I mean, this is like a civics lecture now from the Krasensteins and Destiny. Like, it's really interesting. People might not realize this, but yeah, Destiny has blacklisted Nick for the last few years to try and stifle his popularity.
Why would I blacklist him?
Well, I mean, you could probably argue that he's one of the reasons for his popularity because he let him on, he introduced him to Sneako, all these other things. Maybe he regrets it, but you can't have a meaningful conversation with Nick Fuentes, so it doesn't really matter.
Keith, question. Yeah, question to you, Keith. Ask Destiny.
Hey guys, it's 30-on-1. Is there anybody that's like pro Destiny here, or like on Destiny's side more, or is it just a bunch of like guzzle cummers, or cum guzzlers, excuse me, that are desperately trying to suck Andrew Tate's fucking penis off?
Question earlier. How did he blacklist him? What does that mean?
Why did I blacklist him?
What does blacklisting mean? He just doesn't want to talk to him anymore from his community. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so Destiny refused to stream with Nick. He didn't want to help grow his popularity. Nick comes back in a day. He surpasses him on Twitter followers. And
guys, this guy sapped this guy, so I stole it from him. Like a piece of shit.
He goes back to his old tactic of showing up on a Nick stream and reading Wikipedia articles, trying to make him sound bad to his guests.
Ooh, Wikipedia. Can't trust that source ever. Right, guys?
I mean, the central point here is supposed to be Nick's censorship. And, Destiny makes this point. He's like, oh, well, these people, they defend free speech, but then they don't want to come out and be honest.
This is the easiest truth test forever, right here. Like, tell me, why did I blacklist Nick? Can Nick, will you admit it? Can either of you admit it? No, you won't. You're going to keep pivoting.
Is he just going to keep interrupting me? I mean, he's been speaking for
Yeah, answer that question. Why did he blacklist them?
like hour and a half.
Because apparently the answer is that that he was constantly trying to. Let's see. Fuentes teams up with Hassan's YouTube editor to try and get Destiny banned. Oh, there you go. That's what it says. There it is. Okay.
Make
him answer the question.
Yeah, answer the question, then continue, Keith, with the point you're making.
So Destiny says, you know, they get censored, they stand up for free speech, and they're scared to come out with their beliefs. Well, he's
what a fucking pussy.
ignoring the fact that Destiny got his followers to mass report Nick in, I think it was 2019-20 to get him banned off Twitch, because Destiny is aware of this.
This didn't happen. He's lying, and he didn't answer my question.
I'll go back, Destiny. I'll go back to you to respond right after. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, Destiny.
Well, you kind of have to respond. I feel like now, just be like, no, he's lying.
He got his followers in the past to mass report Nick, to get him banned, to take away the competition, because he knows this double standard exists. And, you know, Destiny will come on these streams and he'll say, of course I believe in free speech. And in the past he said, well, you know.
This is why the fucking British took over Ireland, though, by the way. They had to, because these you motherfuckers are so goddamn stupid. And I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking kidding.
But look, you're going to get censored if you say shit people find offensive. That's just kind of how society works. Like Nick said, Destiny has said, you know, Palestinians, I'm fine with them being genocided. Hassan, who's probably the biggest leftist streamer now, I saw just a couple of weeks ago, he posted the schematic of a weapon as a quote tweet to a politician, suggesting his.
Oh yeah, he probably should have got punished for that.
Suggesting his followers should engage in violence against the politician. Now, there wasn't an SPLC hit piece, wasn't an ADL hit piece shopped around, because they know there's obviously a double standard that operates here. This isn't some free market where there
probably is a double standard that operates there that's more aggressive on conservatives and progressives. But the reality is that Hassan is nowhere near as bad as Nick Fuentes. I think he's dumb. I think he's wrong. I think he's stupid. I think he's bad. But he's nowhere near the level of like Nick Fuentes. That's literally going around saying that fucking black people are the same as fucking dogs. Like, just to be clear, like that's an abhorrent, fucking disgusting thing to say. You know, I make edgy jokes too. You don't get banned on like your first edgy joke. Let's be real too. You know, Fuentes is constantly pushing ideas of like bigotry across the board, like whether it's against you know, different races, ethnicities, fucking Jewish people, women, blah blah blah. It's just all over the place. Thank you for the $2 from Ugok. What is that? Yugo XGC. Nick, hey. Weren't we supposed to talk about me?
companies are looking at these.
Well, that's what I think he wants. A little bit of a vain young man, little boy.
Individual streamers, these individual personalities deciding who to work with. I mean, Nick used the perfect example during Bandy ADL. All of these mainstream media outlets rushed to get this out. That, you know, of the 10,000 tweets I've made, that they found one that was a joke about being an anti-Semite and self-avowed anti-Semite. I can give her another example. Recently, I was
a joke. He is a fucking anti-Semite.
Censored off a couple of payment processors after a Media Matters hit piece. Media Matters hit piece references an SPLC hit piece.
There is the January 6th thing that Nick was linked to. That's true too. You know, the whole rioting the Capitol. That's trying to overthrow the government thing.
I'm a Holocaust denier. Now, I've literally never made a public statement about the Holocaust in my life, right? It's illegal.
Who's even talking right now? Who is this?
But that is shopped around. Left has sent these.
Did they include a quote, or did they just make that statement without any quote?
No,
without any...
no. The original article that it goes back to, which is shopped around all these various outlets now, there's no link, there's no quote. It's just put there by leftist activists. That is used to censor people. And what you realize about censorship is, you know, there's no debate or discussion going around here. These employees get these pieces handed to them by organizations that are supposed to have a reputation, like the ADL, the SPLC, and they just hit the button. And, you know, it's easy to come in with this kind of sort of naive, pluralist worldview where we're in this free market of ideas and companies are just...
All right, we got the last lesson. Why is Nick? Why did I blacklist Nick?
You just keep asking that question.
You blacklisted him to stop his popularity.
Okay, so I blacklisted Nick because I'm a big free speech advocate online, and I have been for I think probably like 6 or 7 years. And
did you direct your followers to get Nick banned?
Look, he's going. And
Nick Fuentes, I haven't tried to get Nick banned in like 7 years. I had a huge conversation with him on Twitch. I was part of the hosting of that conversation. I didn't try to get him banned.
Your followers mass report Nick
like 8 years ago. Yeah, my values have changed since then.
It keeps changing.
I'm not. No, I haven't changed it.
He's it's what's funny is that Destiny's letting them like a railroad him on this one. You know, they're asking these questions because they know the answer. They know the answer is because apparently Nick tried to get him banned, and they're just asking other questions to change the direction of the conversation. So Destiny needs to be as good as they are at ignoring to asking questions.
I literally hosted a huge debate with Nick, but the reason why Nick is blacklisted, the reason why I blacklisted Nick is because as of a year ago, Nick and his group of people spam report people. You can go and watch it on the Ralph Report. You can go and watch it on shows he's on, and he says, well, people spam report me, I'm going to spam report them, which is ironically why I spam reported conservatives in the 2016-2017 period, because you guys spam reported everybody else too. Even large conservative figures would try to cancel other people. James Wood, the Guardians of the Galaxy dude, got canceled by fucking Cernovich digging up 10-year-old tweets. You know, and Nick Fuentes plays the exact same game. Nick, do you acknowledge that a year ago, as recently as a year ago, that you had your audience run around and spam report people on YouTube, that you were fighting with Mr. Medicare and other people, and you would encourage people to spam report people, or are you going to deny that or not even answer it?
Really? Did you do that to Keffels? And to
What?
Hassan last year?
Why are you pivoting? Do you want to answer that question?
Well, answer.
No, I asked you a question. Nick, you're the freedom of the speech guy. Nick, answer the question.
Keffels and Hassan?
Nick, he won't answer the question. So this is what I mean when I say they won't own their positions. They're too cowardly to own their positions. He's not going to answer it. And anyway, so just to be clear, that's why he's on my blacklist. The reason why he's on my blacklist.
I wouldn't call this censorship, but Destiny, why it hasn't seemed to have worked. Like if you look at Nick's following now, despite all the censorship, Did it help him in your opinion?
It's not about it helps him. I just don't like to I don't like to signal boost people that engage in like mass reporting. And Nick's community does that like crazy.
Reporting against Keffels and
Notice how he doesn't answer the question? It's because he keeps dodging.
Why did you
Destiny's getting good?
want to flag down Porcelain? What
Because the guy's annoying. Because the guy's annoying, and his content should be.
Oh, so
honestly,
it's annoying.
His content sucks, so it shouldn't be online anymore. And
Look at this guy. He's a fucking cuck.
I get to say that, okay? And I get to choose. His content. He calls himself a documentarian. Give me a break. He's not a documentarian.
Are you telling me the irony
He's a
bro can't
glorified
detect sarcasm? Oh, really?
He's not being sarcastic. The guy thinks he's
Oh,
a
okay.
documentarian, and I think that's hilarious because it's stupid. But no, his content sucks, and so his content. I think we should flag you because your content sucks too.
Sure. You sure you're not going after Porcelain because he did a Baked Alaska documentary and
No.
your ass hurt your friend got made fun of?
When was that, Jim? Was that like?
I mean, let's say you got angry. You got angry because Ethan Ralph got fucked with. You got angry because Baked Alaska got fucked with. It sounds like you're just a little bit.
Isn't Ethan Ralph's whole thing being fat and saying the N-word and yelling a lot to try to stay popular?
Running around protecting your friends.
Not really. I just hate his content. I hate his content. I think it shouldn't be online anymore.
I love this. I love that this exists in the video. This is so funny.
And you're the little bitch that's crying about it. I mean, you keep saying like you're so mad. I said like, oh, you got DMCA'd. I don't know. Seems kind of funny. I report like when like people are shitting on me. I report their streams. I report everything they have to try and get them banned.
Wow, Nick Fuentes admitting he's not a free speech advocate and constantly tries to get other people's content banned because he finds it annoying.
People can post the clip.
Damn.
Destiny had Keffels and Hassan mass reported last year. He had a tenuous explanation.
Is that true? I feel like that's not true. Somebody tell me that.
Me and Destiny
Every time Nick yaps like this without answering my question, it's because he knows he doesn't have an answer to the question. And Nick is the one on here talking about freedom of speech. Make him answer the question. Make him answer the question.
Didn't Keffels try to like mass report Destiny and got him banned off Twitch? Or that's the assertion of the understanding.
I'll leave it with him. So I think both of you haven't answered the question. But Nick, I'll give you the mic again, you and Keith, because I know Keith was waiting for a long time. Either Keith go on or we'll go to Nick.
Yeah, let me jump in here. So
let him ramble without answering the question.
And now another interruption. See, the thing is,
Destiny, let him speak. Let him speak. But we're not going to do the same thing for you.
Good. So Destiny, let's just take a breather, please. Go ahead, Nick. Thanks, Destiny.
Thank you. So the thing is, I mean, I think the big point is I'm banned for 7 years from some platforms, banned from Twitter for 3. I get platformed on here. Mario, you, before you even put out the tweet, say, well, just on the record, I don't agree with most of what he says. We have to bring in 4 left-wing Zionist Jews
Is he just going to start playing the fucking piano? Oh, my God.
on the space, and that's not good enough. Then we got to bring in Destiny, who for years has been saying, for whatever stupid reason he can say, well, I'm not going to stream with him. But he is going to show up on this one when it's a big platform. And that just goes to show the disadvantage that people like myself have. Destiny is
Why is it a disadvantage? Because somebody's giving you pushback?
He's on YouTube, he's on Reddit, he's on Discord, he's on Twitter, despite saying equally awful things, jokes
Definitely not equally awful things to Fuentes.
or not. He's engaged in mass reporting like anybody has, whether it's a year ago or 7 years ago. But a person like me, I've been banned from everything. I've been lied about by everybody, lied about by the ADL, SPLC. They've never written anything about Destiny. There's no pressure to get him banned from it.
I feel like there's plenty of negative media attention or about Destiny, at least like smaller media platforms, And is that not true? And also, let's be real. Even though Destiny's more successful, I feel like Nick has more mainstream presence. I mean, he literally was like the campaign manager for Kanye West's ridiculous presidential run. I mean, that's the most that Destiny's never been that boosted before, I feel like. So everybody knows of who this person is. When Kanye ran and he was saying things like I love Hitler and all this other like outrageous, like ridiculous bullshit. Incredible. Thank you for the $5 from generic user 1029. I don't know if it's in there, but FMR Representative George Santos asked Nick if he was gay last night, and he never answered and ran out of the space. Wait, George Santos? Isn't that the guy that's going fucking crazy lately? And he's like a fucking drag queen or something now? Or am I thinking of somebody else? That's fucking funny.
Anything.
I mean, guys, the people who are afraid to answer that question are obviously the most secure people ever in the entire world. Duh.
I get restored. It's not 48 hours. I get invited onto a space where everybody practically has to sign a pledge that says, I'm not with this guy, and we got to bring in 4 other people who do most of the talking.
Bro, everybody's glazing the fuck out of Nick. What is he talking about? I haven't had like a single bit of pushback against Nick in this entire thing except for Destiny. I feel like, am I dumb and wrong about that? What are we talking about?
Left to defend the State Department and the regime. And now I'm going to interrupt here. Now I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah, Brian, I'll let you respond right after Nick. So I think Brian's point was Nick, you had a lot of, you had Alex Jones, you had Andrew Tate, you had Sneako, you had others that were supporting your stance. So we tried our best to keep it balanced, but I do have to agree with you. Like, I'll be honest, I faced the most pressure bringing you on stage, more than anyone else except probably Prime Minister of
And Mario, do you
Pakistan.
hear a very clear double standard earlier when you introduced Destiny? He openly says that he hates Islam and he's Islamophobic, and nobody pushes back. There's not going to be any articles. Nobody's going to...
Why didn't you guys push back against it? Just push back against it now. I mean, again, Destiny doesn't like any religions, so sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Write a bill to go and say anything about Islamophobia. But then Nick says his points that he believes that race is real and he thinks that America's a Christian country. And then somehow that's the most bad position.
Nobody gets banned by saying America's a Christian country. Conservatives say that all the time, but they don't follow it up with Jews and Muslims shouldn't be able to run for president. Like that's the follow up there.
That's the one that's going to get articles written.
Everybody thinks race is real, but most people, unless you're like racist, don't think that fucking everything boils down to genetics, that there absolutely are environmental impacts. So
when Myron comes on stream and he makes jokes about, they make Nazi jokes, stuff like this, they automatically try to censor you and say that you believe in this stuff. And they come on your Destiny says that you must believe, and there must be some sort of secret motive that you have, some secret hatred.
Nazi jokes. Myron is like an admitted legitimate anti-Semite. What are you talking about? He believes that like the numbers were drastically inflated. I mean, he wouldn't say the quiet part out loud on Ethan's like H3's podcast, but like he obviously doesn't believe that the Jews. A lot of these people just don't believe in the Holocaust. They're Holocaust deniers. Like, what are you talking about?
But no, these people we like to make jokes. We like to have humor. Destiny openly says
they don't just like to make jokes. I make jokes. These people use jokes as a vehicle to try to like demean and degrades entire communities of people.
He hates Islam, and guess what's going to happen? Nothing.
It's literally not jokes. Two, I've been banned from Twitter more than any of you motherfuckers. I can't believe you guys are crying on here about Twitter bans. I'm pretty sure I've been banned from Twitter. I've been banned from Twitter. Yeah, that's good. I got some.
And he was banned from Twitch.
I'm banned from Twitch. Right, and I was banned from Twitter for longer than you and Fuentes over here combined. And you guys lie about why you get banned from your platforms anyway. Just like Nick Fuentes won't answer why he's on my blacklist. He also lies about why he got no fly listed. It was because he was fighting with a flight attendant.
Wait, why was he blacklisted? Or why is he on the no flight list? Was he fighting with a flight attendant? I mean, that'll do it.
One more point is that Nick's right. I mean, I hosted a bunch of panels back in 2022 when I first learned about Nick and his movement about America First.
Yeah, that's when Nick came on. This was the funniest part. This is like the funniest part about Sneako. Is that Sneako will swear that every bit of empirical objective data about COVID is not real because there's a magical matrix out there. And anytime you say, here's some empirical facts, he'll say, that's not real. But the second Nick Fuentes says that he thinks that Black and Hispanic people are just biologically stupid and has nothing to do with any type of environmental impact, Sneako's like, oh, well, can you send me some articles? I want to read about that because I don't know if I believe you. It's like, really? So you're going to be, you're fucking like half Black and you're barely going to push back against him saying that. But objective COVID statistics, like that's not good enough for you from like different entities that are designed to hold different things accountable. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. It's just outrageous.
And the reason they try to silence him so much is because his position ultimately is that we should stop funding Israel. It's that simple. That's why he's so censored, is because he points out a very specific flaw that American politicians have, is that they all have to have an undying allegiance to Israel. And we don't even know why they're our greatest ally.
I love that. I love how stupid. This is like one little bit that I saw last night. I was like, you're so fucking dumb. It's okay to not want America to give money to Israel. That's fine if you believe that. Nothing wrong with that. I disagree with you. But to say, we don't even know why we're doing this. Yeah, we do. Because Israel is our strongest Western presence and ally in the Middle East. It's not a hot take. It's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to comprehend. Sneako wants to push this idea that we have no idea why, because the quiet part is the Jews control everything. That's what he's trying to say without saying, we don't even know why we're giving them so much money. Why do you think? And then later on, when he's on his own stream, he'll say things like he thinks that there's like a fucking Jewish cabal that runs the world. That's what it is. They're our strongest Western ally in the Middle East. America is always trying to push and spread its influence. And I love that about us, by the way. We're the number one. We're the fucking best. Oh, no, we're not really. Go live in the Middle East then as a gay person. Good luck, asshole. Because you're gonna be oppressed. You're gonna be oppressed in many cases to death. For the most part, I like our country. It's pretty good. You're the freest here than anywhere else in the world. For the most part, Western countries are the bestern countries, because you can be gay and a woman and not be oppressed as much. Also, a child, you can be a child and be less oppressed because age of consent is higher. It's illegal to rape your spouse here. Women can vote. You can be gay publicly without going to jail. Okay? But that's what it comes down to. Israel's a very strong Western presence inside of the Middle East. It's not a hot take. And it's so annoying that these people are so fucking stupid that they're not even educated enough on like what the reality is. It's not like they understand the reality and they go, I disagree with this. They're just dumb. They're just fucking idiots.
People defend this country so much and they don't even know where it is on a map. The fact that he calls us out so much, that's what bothers him. And so they try to blacklist him, they try to censor him nonstop. But every time he gets a new angle of popularity, when people start to admit that his talking points have been correct for so long, they immediately hijack the stream. They'll come in there when he comes on Fresh and Fit, Destiny has to debate him. When I go debate XQC, Destiny has to jump in.
Look, if I gave him his call.
Yeah. It's because you guys don't give any pushback against Nick Fuentes. So Destiny comes in and debates them because he constantly lies and fucking babies will constantly guzzle his cum.
Oh, do you want to join just for a little bit?
What call? What are you doing?
I'm trying to get in a call with Destiny and XQC.
when Nick gets reinstated on Twitter
Oh shit.
for the first day and surpasses him in followers in 24 hours, who needs to come in? Can any of you even remember what all the yapping from 30 minutes was about the Wikipedia articles? I can't.
Listen, we all know that you have trouble paying attention. That's why you haven't learned anything about the religion you're grifting in for the past year. But to be clear, Mario invited me. He literally DM'd me like 2 hours ago. So Mario is the Jew in this circumstance. Just to be clear, okay? He's the one that's controlled, by the way.
I'll take the blame. But Keith, I want to ask you a question. You and Brian, now we'll go to Nick for that same question. Why, Keith, in your opinion, was Nick banned from Twitter and all other social media companies? Keith, Brian, and then obviously Nick, you're probably best to answer the question.
Well, it's obviously ideological censorship. I mean, getting back to what I was saying earlier, Destiny can make these pro-genocide statements, Hassan can endorse violence, nothing happens, they stay up on YouTube, there isn't an SPL.
I mean, listen, I agree that Hassan sending the schematics to like some kind of makeshift gun should have got him some kind of infraction or ban.
See, hit piece. There are teams employed by organizations like the ADL that sit and watch every minute of Nick's content, and he does 5 shows a week, so it's like 10 to 15 hours of content.
Yeah, I guess he gets some ad revenue from that, huh?
And they clip out 1 or 2 minutes, often joking clips, and then they shop that around, and that's really the only way he's allowed.
I don't think that the ADL is doing that. There might be some people doing that, and then the ADL picks up on it, but who the fuck knows? Okay.
On these major platforms. Nick, I was with him a few days ago, he was telling me about the extent of the censorship after January 6th, and really, I think it's a watershed him being allowed back on, because people get censored, and we all know how bad the censorship has been the last year. But there was a point where, you get censored on a platform, you move to another platform, maybe that one bans you. But in Nick's case, I think he's one of the few people where it was an individual censored, it was an unpersoning across platforms, where even people that were posting his clips would get censored. If you search for him on YouTube, it was only very curated results from organizations like the SPLC.
What are you talking about, man? I've talked about Nick Fuentes multiple times, and I've never gotten like a ban. Actually, I did get a ban because he said something like "I love Hitler" or something in there, and then they thought, I don't know, they thought I said it or something, so I had to appeal that, but they overturned the appeal. Yeah, because I was very against that, obviously, as a fucking Jew myself. And I'm part of the Jumalani. Illuminati, is that what it is? Is that what we're calling it? Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Like, it's easy to come on and take this kind of, like I said, this sort of naive pluralist attitude that it's just a free market and these companies just don't like these individual beliefs. But at the end of the day, the companies aren't monitoring these individual streamers, these individual personalities.
Dude, they don't. If Nick Fuentes on your platform means that you're not going to make any money. So there you go. There's your answer.
These boycotts are targeted and led by organizations like the ADL that forced Facebook to ban Holocaust denial, forced Facebook to ban white nationalism, launched a huge advertiser boycott on Twitter. And, this isn't just some kind of organic thing where these organizations represent like a plurality of interest. It's oftentimes the same oligarchs funding these people that are funding the media. Jonathan Greenblatt was in the Obama administration. These organizations are really an extension of the regime. And to take this kind of naive attitude...
The regime, baby. Thank you so much for the $5 from Artificially Stupid Intelligence. Papa Gut, I'm a new viewer since last month. Love your content. How you doing, Poppy? You're going to explode like Maximus Peepee in Season 2 of Fallout. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I genuinely do, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
That this is just sort of civil society functioning as it does, and it's free market making decisions about who to sponsor. It's just totally naive. So that's why I think it's it's a watershed moment that Nick is back on, because I think he has become the litmus test as someone who is the most attacked by these organizations, the most lied about, and he's really the only one that's come out the other side of censorship bigger than before. Individuals like Alex Jones have been heavily censored, Andrew Tate, but Nick has really come back bigger than 3-4 years ago, and it's at the point where, despite all the censorship, I think everyone has to recognize he's a part of the public conversation. Piers Morgan regularly name drops. People mention his meeting with Trump. So Elon here is making, I think,
oh my god, these guys are just yapping.
I think you made a very important point here. And Nick,
I think you made a very important point, yeah.
Ask you a question based on what Keith said. Obviously, it's a side note.
This guy sounds like a fucking World of Warcraft character. What the hell?
About Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital, we know Israel did it, and we know Al-Shafa didn't have those.
Silly. Just something came up. Just 2 seconds. You remember how, I can't remember who it was.
Why don't these guys just get in a room and start jacking each other off? Like, I don't really understand. This whole entire thing is just literal fucking like mutual masturbation. They're just jerking themselves off constantly. Like, holy fuck. I want to see Destiny give counter perspectives to these fucking nerds.
The joke that Nick made earlier, the quote, "You're right, we can't compare loving Hitler to loving Destiny. Destiny is far worse." We just a prominent account snip that and say Nick Fuentes to Mario Nofo, and then they put that quote there without putting out the full context that it's a joke. I think it's a perfect... I think so. Just want to make it clear. Yeah, I just want to make it...
I mean, Nick Fuentes likes Hitler, so the context... Yes, it's a joke, but like there's a level... I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Who cares? You guys are running hard defense for like a legitimate piece of shit, but okay.
I think it's a bad joke. I think Nick even thinks it's a bad joke. He might disagree.
Wait, did Sneako say I ambushed him?
But it's a joke nonetheless, whether it's good or bad. I think anyone that snips it, anyone on Twitter that takes that snippet and posts it pretending it's not a joke, is participating in censorship.
I know, dude. It's so sad.
Or at least tarnishing one's image.
Point, right, Mario? Because he's literally saying you guys are taking my jokes out of context and making it seem like these are my ideological positions, and then we have that happen in real time. So if anything, it just proves his point.
And Mario, you see what didn't go viral? Someone saying I hate Islam with every fiber in my body.
Why don't you guys go do that then? First of all, that did go viral before. That was all over Twitter. Somebody saw that and cut it up and put it up out of context. So what are you talking about? That is viral.
Nobody clips that, and it does not go viral anywhere. You see the
It literally went viral on Twitter. No, what the fuck are you talking about, idiot?
clear hypocrisy, the clear double standard.
And here's the thing. This is perfectly encapsulates what happens with Nick, right? Nick gets censored, and anyone that works with him gets censored as a byproduct of platforming him. That's why most people are pussies and don't platform Nick, because they're scared of getting something like that just happen.
Or maybe they just believe that Nick is a scum piece of shit and he's not worth platforming. Those are another possibility. I don't know if you guys have ever considered that alternative, but okay.
This literally is quintessentially proves what we've been talking about.
Nick, can I say,
to a degree, he censors anyone that platforms him, and they try to
This is the guy who says that he doesn't like he doesn't make women come because he thinks that that's gay and doesn't eat pussy and cuddles with other men. Okay, let's just be clear. This guy closeted homosexual. Okay.
Right now.
No, Myron is speaking. But Nick, can I just say, sorry, I know I took the mic from you. I'm gonna give it back to you. But
and if I was a homosexual, I would not be closeted because there's nothing gayer than pretending you're not gay. Let's just be real. It's not gay to say you're gay, but it is gay to pretend you're not gay and then hate gay people. Right? Pretty basic.
Nick, can I just kind of put it on you? When you make jokes like this, aren't you really asking for it?
No. I think that's.
Oh shit, dude! Whoa, are you asking for it? God, dude, what do you? Would,
Totally
you say
ridiculous.
would you say that to a woman who is assaulted, bro? Like this is pretty fricked up.
I think that this is like the person that gets abused by the battered wife. Well, what did you say? Or the rape.
How did I fucking know? How did I know, dude, that he was gonna go right there? Brothers,
I'm raped. I've been raped. No, I'm kidding. That's an edgy joke. But it really is. Do we have a free society or don't we? Can we? Do we all have the same rights?
no, we don't. You can say whatever you want, but freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. Go into your job. This is a real litmus test. Go into your job and go say these things there. Go say these things at your job and see what they say. They will fire you for saying shit like this. Okay? Try to strike up a conversation, guys, about race and IQ at your job. See what they say. Give it the old whirl. Give it a whirl, guys. Go see what happens. It's incredible stuff.
Rights? Can we all make jokes? Can we all use rhetoric? Can we all speak freely? I haven't said a joke that's more offensive than, for example, some people like Lil Nas X dancing on Jesus. If Lil Nas X got killed by like a bunch of Christians because they don't like the blasphemy, would you look at that guy and say, well, you had it coming? That he
Maybe I wouldn't really care, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna be real with it.
did that. I mean, or any other.
Nick, how many people do you think died? How many Jews died in the Holocaust?
Okay, am I just going to be interrupted?
Oh, this is a great question. I'm ready for it.
Bro, you gamble. You have literally got more than anyone else here. How many people?
Destiny. We can't hold this guy to anything. Okay, shut the fuck up. He might leave. Please, we have to baby him.
Your point. So then I'll give you the mic, because I took it from you. Destiny, I appreciate coming on stage and creating this debate. But we'll just take a bit of a break. Nick, I'll let you finish your point.
We got to give Nick a break from being criticized for 3 seconds. Okay, he needs a fucking break, dude. It's too much. He's getting too much pushback. It's too much. We can't do it. He's a baby. He's a fucking little child.
Go to Sully. And Destiny will go back to you in a bit.
So no, I think that's totally ridiculous. And I think that, and the other thing is, it's
like one of the weird things that
I think he muted them.
happens in like Discords, and it kind of happens on Twitter as well. It kind of happens in these spaces too. I've noticed with the way they run them is you bring on people and then you suck them off as much as possible because they're your like celebs that get your viewership. So when people run big spaces like this, the only reason I'm invited is because they know that I'm gonna bring an audience. And then Nick is here, but Nick is like their star, so they have to baby him as much as possible, which is why he'll never be forced to answer any questions. And the host will be like, "It's nice, spot. It's so boring." Ugh.
Well, Destiny's also the only counter perspective there, and they get to say like, "See, they put him on trial. They gave him some accountability. We had somebody who disagreed. This isn't just a complete masturbation circle jerk. What the hell? This thing's fucking huge."
You so handicapped that it's just like Harrison Bergeron. You can't say anything. You're constantly interrupted. Constantly, the language is policed.
He's still going on about being his language being policed after Destiny paused and talked about that,
and so on.
And then it's so boring because like all of his talking is it's just like it's him doing like his platitudes and his preaching. It's just like so he just like rambles and does his like yap talking points. It's so boring.
Yep.
Clout, or people that are more mainstream than me, people like Shane Gillis as a good example. One of the funniest people around, recognized at this point, gets removed from the conversation because.
Just to be clear, Shane Gillis is a funny guy who doesn't make racist jokes to be racist. He just likes to be a little fun with his humor. That's why I like him. And yes, he got banned, and he got censored, but it's because he said a slur against Asian people. So I understand why. Like, it's not the hottest take. It's unfortunate because I love Shane Gillis, but like I get it. And guess what? He's back now. and he doesn't say slurs against Asians, and he's doing very, very well.
Because he's got the wrong politics or made the wrong type of a joke. So this, aren't you asking for it, is like an insane totalitarian mindset, in my opinion. And it'd be one thing if I was one of these guys like the Blood Tribe that you see at these protests where they got a vein bulging out of their head and they're screaming.
The hell's a Blood Tribe?
Obscenities and racial slurs and that that might be one thing. I don't know.
Oh, it's so boring.
Understand why that people might be put off by that, but obvious jokes about things where everybody's laughing, or even if I'm just laughing, I think we can recognize that's part of the conversation. The bigger picture is who is behind the censorship. It's not that I didn't get kicked off Twitter.
Who's behind the censorship?
Because there was a grassroots, organic, mass support because they didn't like my jokes or they didn't find it humorous.
There's a lot of people who don't like. I don't know. This is like the hottest take of the world. There's a lot of people who don't like Nick Fuentes because they think he's a disgusting loser. Like there's a lot of people who don't like this person. I don't know.
Got banned from Twitter because there are groups, as Keith said, that since the time I was 18 years old have effectively been spying on me, watching everything, paid for it with the stated intention. And that's their goal of getting me censored because of the political things that I say. And that that's the case. As Keith said, that you can't believe the alibi or the cover story because of the inconsistency. They don't do this to left-wing people. They don't enforce it against left-wing people because it's a matter of ideological censorship. If it was about the thing in itself, Hassan would be banned for posting a bomb schematic, obviously. And
he should get banned for that. He should get in a lot of trouble for that.
There are numerous other examples. Even regular conservatives can point this out. So
nobody
everything is
double standard.
So Nick, just a quick question. Nick, just a quick question, right? Nick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where he pretends to ask.
What is he, Clam Fandango? Nick, can you hear me?
Impartial
You've
question.
explained from a social media perspective, right? And even people have mentioned about this, your joke being taken out of context and clipped. What about from the mainstream media perspective and organizations such as ADL? If those organizations are up in arms about what they believe is hate speech, why is it, for example, they've come after you, they've made hit pieces against you, the ADL will come after you, but like, for example, not to mention Destiny again.
I like how he just accepts that all of them are hit pieces and there's no validity to them.
His extreme Islamophobia has been left unanswered. So and does that then not?
He just keeps bringing it back to this.
That's the first part. And the second part of the question, does that then not add more merit to your argument that there are certain people who are having control of the media, having control of the narrative?
100%. And I'll even match you another example. Ben Shapiro. Shapiro, who's, I think, far more famous than almost anyone here except for probably Andrew Tate. Ben Shapiro, 20 years ago, was writing that Israel should ethnically cleanse Palestine. He wrote actually several articles saying transfer is not a dirty word. And these people hate us and we got...
Didn't he disavow all those things? That's from 20 years ago, no?
I ethically cleanse them. Cool. Now, whenever you read an article about Ben Shapiro, you don't read Ben Shapiro, who 20 years ago in a town hall article wrote in favor of ethnic cleansing. It's not part of the conversation. But it is the case with me. It is the case with Keith. It is the case, presumably, if other people...
This guy's not even 20 years old. What is he talking about? What?
People on the space step out of bounds. They'll say, Mario and Solomon, who hosted the White Nationals, Nick Fuentes. That proves that it is ideological and it is about power. And
I mean, he's 25. Like, they're not reporting things from you 20 years ago because you weren't old enough to be relevant then.
Say the Ben Shapiro example is connected to Destiny. You may have noticed that lately Destiny has been getting bigger platforms. He was on a debate with Ben Shapiro, with Lex Fridman, with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, yep, he's becoming more mainstream. Good for him, man. And it's motivating. I've talked about it before, It's a motivating thing, man. It's got me pushing into TikTok more, and I'm actually doing rather well on TikTok. Hopefully I'm not banned right now and just don't fucking know it.
This is a theory, so not a fact, but a theory. I think that one of the reasons...
Papa Nick would be devastated if he knew Shane was actually a liberal cosplaying as a conservative. Yeah, no shit. He is a fucking liberal. Shane is like more progressive. He's just not a fucking psychopath online fucking idiot. But he absolutely is more progressive, yeah.
Since they're willing to overlook some of the disturbing things about his life or disturbing things that he said, but not with me, is because Destiny is one of the few pro-Israel leftists. So Jordan Peterson recently, who's at Daily Wire, Shapiro's company, somebody said, when will you talk to Nick Fuentes? Peterson said, when hell freezes over. Okay?
Well, yeah, Nick Fuentes is a fucking scumbag loser. Why would they talk to you?
And I'm a Catholic, right-wing guy. I mean, obviously far right, obviously not mainstream right. But when
you don't even think that Jews should be able to be part of like government office. Why would anybody take you seriously when you have that extreme of an idiot position? Like, it's not unreasonable to be like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to the guy who doesn't think that, like, the Jews and Muslims shouldn't be able to run for office in America. That's like a dumb, idiot fucking perspective.
Hell freezes over. That's when he'll sit with me or converse with me. And presumably in an extremely hostile way if it ever happened. When Destiny, who lives a completely, and I don't say this as personal attack, but lives a not conservative lifestyle, to put it respectfully, with some decorum, okay, somebody who really is a fundamental liberal on the issue of transsexuals or on climate or other things.
Transgenders people, yeah.
Well, Jordan Peterson smiles and sits with him in a friendly manner.
I mean, they had a pretty heated debate. And yes, he will sit down with him because it's a counter perspective, but Destiny is generally respectful in these conversations, and he doesn't have a massively unreasonable perspective. He's in the Overton window of, you know, some kind of an accepted perspective, generally speaking. Like, conservatives sit in that Overton window too. Like, it's okay to say, like, hey, listen, I'll fucking say it right now. Like, I am fucking tired of, like, asylum seekers coming here and then getting caught and released. They come here, they get told, like, oh, okay, come back for the trial in 2 years, and then, like, 75% of the time they don't show up. Like, it's annoying, and conservatives complain about that. There's nothing wrong with complaining about that. It's ridiculous. Okay? But if you say, yeah, I don't like Mexican or Hispanic people coming here, and you're just being, like, racist, like, that's not in the Overton window of an acceptable perspective. So if you're somebody like that, I can't imagine Daily Wire really wants you on there talking to you. There's reasonable perspectives to have. It's reasonable to say that we should have, like, a reasonable, keep saying reasonable. We should have some kind of limited immigration that whatever, whoever job it is to, keep track on how many people is too many people coming in, they set a standard, and I'm okay with it. That's a reasonable perspective. But, like, Fuentes thinks less of other people, of non-white Christian people. Why would they ever have that conversation?
It's an intense debate, but in a very friendly way. Why is it that even conservatives will platform liberals, communists, in some cases Satanists, porn stars? Trent Horn sat down with porn stars of whatever. He's a Catholic apologist. He's also Jewish. They'll sit down with porn stars. Those people are not offensive enough to a conservative to refuse their company. But I am, because I made a joke, or I said something, even, I'll grant you, let's say something that is completely heterodox in the conservative political space. That tells you what's going on. And as I said earlier, the contours of what is called political correctness, what explains these things, is the position.
As much as you guys think, like, Hassan has been jealous or upset about me,
Dave
bro,
Rubin, his last example.
He probably is upset about it.
Fuentes is so asked
The last
about it, and
example is Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin built it, and we all recognize, built his brand saying, I'm a liberal, and I may not agree with you, but at least we can have a conversation. You know, Rubin Report, back in 2016, he was debating Shapiro and Milo and Peterson. He really put all these people on. He's part of the intellectual dork web. Dave Rubin, he literally published a book. Hey, don't burn this.
Where's my hat? Oh, I don't have it on because I have sunburn on my head from doing yard work on Saturday.
Book. You might disagree with my book, but don't burn it.
They'll platform all these people. Yeah, to disagree with them. What the fuck are you talking about?
But when people go and criticize Israel,
dude, he doesn't shut the fuck up. He's a fucking yapper, and I'm a yapper too.
Dave Rubin blocks you on Twitter, attacks you on Twitter, and calls your boss and tries to get you fired. You know, all of a sudden, he wants to burn the books. Now
Can we get a counter perspective, or is he just going to be able to, like, fucking cry and shit and come and moan?
Can't have a conversation. There's some things that we can't talk about.
Why isn't Hassan banned? Hassan is wait, make sense. Why isn't Hassan banned? He's the largest political streamer on Twitch and has huge platforms on other huge things on other platforms. Why isn't Hassan banned, who's insanely anti-Israel?
That's actually a very good point.
Hassan isn't platformed by Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
He's platformed by Twitch, which is represented by Amazon, which is got to be the most Jew-controlled fucking organization in the world. Why doesn't Hassan get banned? He's had ADL things about
platforms.
You said that if you don't represent, so you don't think the ADL or any of the platform bans have to do with not towing the Israeli line?
Try getting it out. I'm talking specifically about Shapiro and Peterson.
Yeah, because you're talking specifically about it now because it contradicts your point. You're yapping for 3 minutes. You don't own any point.
You held the floor for an hour.
I haven't held the floor for any of that. You interrupted me so many times. You're so
yeah, Destiny really did not talk that much without. He was constantly getting interrupted over and over again. What is he talking about?
Oh my god.
Nick, I'm gonna George. You've heard Nick say a joke earlier, and I saw one of your comments. You weren't too happy with it. Do you think jokes like this? Do you think anything that Nick said so far should be censored?
Holy fuck, dude! Shut the fuck up. He's like beating a dead horse. Oh, do you think this joke that was mentioned an hour and a half ago in this conversation? Do you think it should be done? What do you think? What do you think this joke should be done? Wait. Shut. What? Who is this fucking guy? Like, ask a real goddamn question. What are you just doing, like a round robin? Ask, hey guys, what do you think about what do you guys think about the new ice cream that I made at home?
I know you disagree with.
What do you think? Hey John, what do you think? Can you talk about it for fucking 25 minutes? Hey Jim, what do you think? Talk about it for another 25 minutes. Hey, oh, you want to talk about something else? Okay, we'll give you 3 minutes, and then let's go back to talking about the fucking homemade ice cream that I made. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Oh, what about the joke? Because what are you trying to boil everything down that's bad about Nick Fuentes down to like a joke he made one time? No, obviously it's much more than that. What the fuck are you talking about?
With a lot of it, but
back to the boring questions. Oh my god. Should jokes be censored?
He's added as a speaker.
Well, so why isn't Hassan banned for being anti-Israel?
Hold on, please.
Hold on, please. No real questions. I need to ask about this one dumb fucking thing nobody cares about.
Mr. Santos, go ahead.
No, hold on. He's still a listener. I mean, the reason is because he's still.
No, sorry, Sneako. Yeah, I think there's a glitch. You can't hear George Santos speaking right now. Yeah, Sneako. So George Santos speaking. No, not you, George. I'll drop Sneako and bring it back up. All good, George. The glitch with Sneako. Go ahead, George. Sneako, I'll drop you and bring it back up.
Okay. So very simple. To answer your question is, I don't agree with anything that Fuentes says. I used to think he was, harmless and he's out there, whatever. But I don't think he should be banned. But I don't think we should give him oxygen because he says a lot of hateful things. I mean, his entire.
Dude, he can't help but interrupt when somebody else is speaking.
Following.
Okay, George, I think you're the issue, but it's actually, I'll drop you and bring you back up. But it's actually, Brian, I'm going to give you the mic. You'll probably make it simple.
What the fuck? Why did you cut him off from talking? What?
I'm going to point to George, hopefully, and I'll bring George back up.
Yeah, so like I've heard some people talk, and I think Sneako might have said something that like Nick's been banned on all these platforms because he's been anti-Israel or he has spoken out against Israel. But I feel that there's a lot of minimizing of what Nick has said in the past, and he claims that it's a
This
joke.
guy is very Jewish, you could tell. By the way, love him. Nothing wrong with that. But you could tell.
You say like, oh, you joke around a lot, but like, were you joking when you said that you loved Hitler, or when you said that Jews have no place in Western civilization, or when you called for the Aryan race to go to victory? Like, were they all jokes?
A total Aryan victory, yeah, that's a joke. And
a total Aryan victory, but a partial one?
loving Hitler, I do love Hitler in a Christian way. I love everybody.
Yeah, incredible. Okay.
I still love
you don't see why that
love
might be a
Destiny.
problem?
He does see why. Don't ask. There's no point talking to Nick Fuentes. He unironically likes Hitler. Like, he's anti-Semitic. He doesn't care. That's why you can't have a reasonable conversation from this unreasonable person.
You don't see why that might be a problem, and that might be a little bit different.
Well, but
than
tell
some
me
things that
why.
other
But tell
people
me
have
why.
said.
Why is that a problematic statement? So
Because you actually don't like Jews and think that there's a secret Jewish shadow government, and you're using that as a way to like communicate that, pretending to be like, oh no, it's just my Christian love. I'm just a Christian who loves people. Like, you know, I love everybody. Okay.
I'm obligated to hate Hitler.
So would you say, so Nick, would you hate? Is there anyone on this planet that you would hate? Just first question.
No,
I'm not very
no, we're
nobody at all.
Christians. We have to love it. Well, and this is
Nick, here's a really hard question. Do you hate anybody? Wow, it's crazy.
the purpose of saying, and this is the thing I think that's getting lost. The purpose
Nobody's
of
gonna
saying
make him answer
something
a question.
outrageous
Can I
like
leave?
that,
This is
people
so
say, why
fucking
would you say
boring.
something like that? It is to elicit a conversation like this. It is for people to say and question their assumptions. You know, why is it the case that we have to hate a person? Why? Who can we hate? Who can we love? And who says? And why?
Gay? Yeah, it's good to hate people. I hate over empathy. Over empathizing is for fucking loser, liberal, cuck nerds, just to be clear.
Wait. So me, hang on. Me as a Christian, when you
Shit, I'm surprised some of these far leftists aren't saying we should start. Well, we should like Hitler. Let's let him reform. Let's give him the chance to reform himself. You know, I'm surprised.
say things like, well,
Why didn't
you know,
I
you
do
said
this?
Jews have no place in Western
He hasn't answered a
civilization.
single
I don't
question.
know
I
what
don't
that
know.
specific quote is, but
What
what
the
I am
fuck?
saying is that Jews are not part of the same civilization in the sense that for thousands of years they were segregated from Christians. I mean,
Do you think
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Hugo XGC, for the £5. Nick, I'm talking specifically about Shapiro and Peterson because if I bring up people outside Daily Wire, my conspiracy falls apart. Exactly. Yeah.
Muslims are part of the same
History.
civilization? Should
Okay,
Muslims be
am I
allowed to run for
speaking
office?
Hold on, let me go. Yes, that's,
Is it
let
really
me get.
Yeah, no, good question. Like, let's see, because he hasn't been saying anything negative about Muslims because there seem to be a lot of Muslims that agree with him here. But you know that he doesn't think any non-Christian should run for government. So obviously he's going to have a perspective that they shouldn't be part of it either.
Can I answer a single
But right now that they're his allies, so he needs to pretend he likes them.
question?
Yeah,
So much.
let me. I will.
Destiny, I can't let you talk. I promise. I'll let you talk for like 3 seconds. Just give me 45 minutes, and I'll let you talk for like 3 seconds. 3 seconds, dude.
Nick, I want to back and forth between you and Brian on Brian's particular point before going to Mr. Santos again. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, me too. And I'll make it brief, but you know, a statement like that is Jews are different than Christians, and they have lived in segregation.
Jews are much more similar.
Question.
Yeah,
Much more similar to Christians than anything else. It's literally the same Bible, the Old Testament. They're not that different.
Or in conflict or in other ways with each other because they're not Christian. It is a Christian value that we say we love everybody. We love even our enemies. We love everybody. Jewish people say sometimes I think there was an article written in First Things recently by some Zionists, and they said, actually, there's a virtue in hatred. There's a virtue in hating the Palestinians or hating Hamas and things like that. And so, like, that does reflect a fundamental difference of values. And when I say, and Christians believe that evil is the Antichrist, the essence of good and God and love is selflessness. The opposite of that is selfishness, pride. So our adversary is not actually Hitler, it's the devil. It's the Antichrist. And the model of good is God. It seems like there's this parallel, separate moral system that's been created where, in some people's minds, Hitler is the devil. And
He is. He genocided like 10 million people, 6 million of which were Jewish. What are you talking about?
And I guess Israel is the angel or something like that. Seems to be the people that are the most evil are the ones that are the most like Hitler, and the goodest people, the best people, the most good, well, they're the ones that are the least racist, the least this. I think that's like an obfuscation. I think that
Guys, I don't know if this is a hot take. Racism is bad.
obfuscates the fundamental moral equation for Christians. So when I say, and when me and Ye
Nick,
said
just to
that,
ask you a question on that.
I do want to go to.
Can you stop letting him yap about all this shit? Holy fuck.
Let me get Brian to push back. So
Let me quickly ask a question. Right? It's going to be a one-word answer. Based on what you said, because you're basically applying Christian ethics, but let's say hypothetically someone was to kill your family member, would you apply the same standard that you would dislike the person but still love them?
absolutely, absolutely, we're supposed to love everybody. That's why that priest in Australia who got stabbed immediately prayed for the attacker. So that is really the fundamental difference.
Did you just say that's Israeli, the fundamental difference? Oh my god.
That's the reason Hasanabi gets to go on the mainstream platforms because he doesn't have that sort of basis of ideology. When you come from the atheist point of view, they don't see you as a threat. Nick coming on here and saying that America should hold Christian values, that's the real threat to the Judeo-Christian system. Mario, there's a reason why Elon...
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Listen, I think God is great. I love God. But I mean, religion has done a lot of negative things for the world, to be absolutely honest with you. So, you know, the way that these people seem to, you know, Nick Fuentes idolizes religion, or pretends to, as a way to separate people. So, I mean, you know, case in point. I don't know, man. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Elon Musk is not. I mean, I love Elon Musk for reinstating me. The reason that he's not in this space right now is because we're talking about the Israel issue, the one issue that scares him the most. They're not supposed to speak about this. Like, the biggest lobby in America is not funded by the Chi-Coms or the globalists. The biggest lobby in America, AIPAC, 98% of their politicians are funded by Israel. This is the main issue. This is what it always leads back to, and that the biggest threat is having people, strong people, like the Goypers that believe in God.
And also, I want to add this.
Incredible.
As well. Not only do they siphon off Nick's influence,
Are we going to get George Santos in here?
Yeah.
So let me get Brian.
Quick point.
Quick, please, Mario. I want to go to Brian and Mr. Santos.
I'm going to be very quick here. The thing I want to mention is that not only do they stifle Nick's influence, but they go ahead and try to stifle anyone that platforms him that isn't diametrically opposed.
No, Myron is speaking. Yeah, Myron, you've got the glitch. I'll bring you down and back up, and no one can hear you on stage. You go ahead, Brian, and then we'll go to Mr. Santos.
I just feel that you're trying to.
I mean, again, so first and foremost, Fresh and Fit are not deplatformed anywhere. They're still on YouTube. They're just demonetized. Why? Because they changed all of their shit to monkeys, all their profile pictures next to monkeys and Abba and Preach, to try to call Abba and Preach monkeys, after they went on and did a stream calling them like slurs, and letting like a bunch of people like Nick Fuentes and John Zerko go on there and pretend to be like KKK members and putting on KKK hoods and saying like, oh, you're trying to censor us because we talked to Nick Fuentes. It's a lot more than that, but okay.
Whitewash, no pun intended, like some of the things you've said in the past. So I'll ask you flat out. I'm Jewish. I've had.
Oh, really? I never would have guessed.
Family members fight in World War II, in Vietnam. Do I belong in Western civilization?
I think that Jewish civilization is different than Christian civilization. I mean,
it is the most. They're so incredibly similar. It's insane. It's actually funny.
But do I belong in the United States? Do I belong in Western civilization as a Jew?
I mean, if I were in charge, I wouldn't deport you or something like that. I don't, you know, those are.
So what would you do with him there, Nick? What would you do with him? Just say what you believe, pussy.
Subjective. What, you think I should have no power in this country?
I think you shouldn't be able to be the president. Yeah, absolutely. Why? Because I think
because we've had so many Jewish presidents already, right?
I'll tell you exactly why.
Oh, now it's going to ramble for another 10 fucking minutes.
I think that any Christian cannot just throw it up and say, you know, we're going to let the president.
Fathers.
Okay, well, first of all, that's not true. Okay, that's based on a myth. No, they were Christian, and it was Christian people. And the framers, if you read in the Federalist Papers, it says that this is for one people of one faith on one land. John Jay, Federalist number 2. Look it up. It's in there.
Didn't they also say separation of church and state? Like, well, how does any of this relevant?
Framers all believe this. Regardless,
show me where they say it's a Christian.
But leaving that aside,
show me where they say it's a Christian country. Does it actually say that somewhere in the Constitution?
I just cited it. John Jay, Federalist number 2. John Jay, the Federalist Papers were written by the framers, and that was the basis of the Constitution.
And it said that nobody that's not Christian should have no.
It didn't say that. No, it didn't say that explicitly. But it said that this is a country.
What do you mean?
Did it dog whistle that, Nick Fuentes? Are you aware of what dog whistles are?
So, okay, are you going to interrupt me, or do you want me to make my
point?
Well, if you want to say,
your thought process.
The second he gets pushback, he keeps telling people they're interrupting him and tries to make it seem like they're rude. He's like the biggest fucking Karen I've ever seen in my entire life. It's holy fuck.
Okay, well, regardless, even if the Founding Fathers were not Christian, that doesn't matter to me, okay? The Founding Fathers are not the authority. God is the authority. And no Christian can say that we're going to let the country be...
Wait, what? But wouldn't they... If the Founding Fathers weren't Christian and they founded the country, then I imagine they wouldn't found the country on being a Christian nation. So how are you pivoting to God? But you're trying to say, like, they made it a Christian nation, but then it's like, well, actually, apparently they didn't. I don't know. And now it doesn't matter if they did or didn't because God is the best. Like there's no logical fucking like follow through here.
Be run by whoever gets elected. Like, let's say atheists get elected, or let's say Muslims get elected, or let's say Satanists get elected. A Christian cannot say, well, the Founding Fathers said, or, you know, well...
Yeah, you can. You actually can say that.
So-and-so said, the people decided that we must live under some kind of regime. No.
What regime? The regime would be the American regime. Like, you would be like, oh, like a Muslim got elected. Okay, as long as they're American, I don't care. Like, okay.
No, we believe that actually society should be receiving instruction from the church, that only moral people can lead, and that if you have people in charge that do not believe in God and don't actually follow God's laws, then you're going to have a country that's totally immoral or amoral, and therefore totally sinful and offensive to God. I don't know how anyone could be a Christian and not believe...
Wait, make him answer the question of would you apply the same restrictions to Muslims as you would to Jews?
Absolutely, yes, 100%. I literally just said it.
So Jews and Muslims shouldn't. Yeah, you said president. So what about for Congress? What about for mayor?
Yeah, for Congress, I said it earlier.
So no federal offices, no state offices for
just Christians.
No Muslims.
Just Christians. Good. Yeah.
Okay. So if I said that the final authority belongs to Big Bird, why should?
I'm sorry.
My thoughts on that be weighed less than yours. Like, should we just look through Big Bird and ask Big Bird what the country should be running?
I mean, Big Bird is nicer than God. Let's be real. Okay, I love God, but he's kind of an asshole sometimes, especially in the Old Testament. So maybe Big Bird's not so bad.
Bye.
Well, then you get into the subjectivity of morality. I mean, you could apply the same.
There is a subjectivity in morality, no? Yeah. Oh, well, he's not going to believe that. He's going to think that, like, the Bible is, like, the #1 moral fucking framework.
Question about the country. It's like,
which also means he thinks that little kids should be molested. Just to be clear, like, he thinks that, like, the second a girl goes into puberty, she's adult enough to get married to a 20-year-old man, and they should be able to have sex together. That's Nick Fuentes' perspective. He's got the same perspective as, like, Sneako. As long as they're grown enough, by whatever metric, magical fucking metric, which is apparently, according to Sneako, how big their tits and ass are, you can molest a child. So that's, you know, let's be real. There's no age of consent in the Bible. It's like when a girl goes on her period, she's a woman and she can get married to a fucking grown 20-year-old man.
Okay with some kind of Satanist being in control of the country? I mean, do you think that's okay?
Do I think it's okay? I don't think that any
should that be allowed to happen?
I don't think any religious text should be running the country. I think that the Constitution should determine how the country is run, not how one person thinks a God wants the country to be run.
Okay, but all laws, but this is a question of morality. All laws are based on morals. Saying that it's illegal to kill is based on morals. Saying it's
we don't say it's illegal to kill. We say it's illegal to kill without like a justification. But yeah, I understand what you meant.
It's legal to steal is based on morals. Saying that everyone should be equal, that's a moral statement. You know, what if somebody gets elected that doesn't believe that everybody's created equal, and then they pass a law that creates an apartheid regime?
Morals are based on
that would we would just hopefully counter that. I mean, that's all you can hope for, because like the fucking Bible is not going to be like a moral structure for a lot of these things. Like, there's still no explicit condemning of slavery in the Bible. I don't know. Okay.
Wait, morals aren't based on religion.
Yeah, they are.
Morals, there might be morals that we get and laws we get that are like rooted from religion, because like, but that doesn't matter. It could be anything else. Those laws happen to, like, those religions also happen to support some of the laws that we support today. And then as time goes on, we evolve and learn about like what laws could be better.
No, they're not. I'm not religious. I have morals.
They necessarily have to be.
If we say necessarily, why do we cite John Jay?
I have morals.
Wait, why do we cite the Federalist Papers? Why do we cite the Founding Fathers? If you want America to be a Christian nation, none of that is found anywhere in the Constitution.
I'm not citing them. I'm not citing them.
You literally cited John Jay in Federalist Papers #2. Where, by the way,
he said the founders weren't Christian.
That's because they weren't Christian. But more importantly, they didn't enshrine Christianity in any part of our Constitution.
You're totally confused. First of all, you're interrupting. Second of all, you're totally confused.
First of all, you're interrupting. He doesn't stop talking. He's filibustering. He's allowed to just talk as much as he wants, and if anybody pushes it back on him, he just goes, "You're interrupting me. You're being rude." That's basically what he's doing.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the Founding Fathers, the framers,
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you do fucking anything.
Okay, so why the fuck are you even in this country? Why not go fucking live in Rome, or go fucking live in the Catholic Vatican, or go live in fucking prehistoric wherever the fuck?
And my understanding is in Italy, the age is like 15, so Nick would love it there.
Why be in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country's about?
We want to make it better. We want to improve it.
You don't want to make it better. You want to destroy the country. Like, you understand. The funny thing is, you are like as
you're
bad
literally
or worse than the Jewish invaders that you accuse
of
trying to destroy the country. You are overtly saying that you want to run it as a theocratic regime, that you want religion and God to be the #1 thing we answer to, and not the Constitution. Yeah, so you're worse than any Jew you accuse of trying to frame their law or their allegiance or whatever. You want to be loyal to the Vatican or whatever the fuck, and you say they want to be loyal to Israel. At least Israel is real. Like, what the fuck is the point of trying to say that the United States should be some theocratic regime and then act like you're better than any other group of people trying to change the country?
Because one is right and one is not right. Your
whole fuck me. How did I not know that?
I guess the question is, what makes it right?
One religion is right and the other is wrong. You're the first one in history to think of that one, Nick Fuentes. Good one, Chief.
But that is
good one, Chief. Wait. What about all the dick sucks in here? Wait, hold on. Where's Sneako and Myron? How do you guys feel about the fact that Nick would see it so that you guys could never hold public office? You guys could never hold public office in Nick's America. Sneako stood up on stage. He supported him. Sneako said, "Yeah,
Georgia, I know you're trying to speak earlier. I appreciate you waiting.
Yeah, I want to hear that answer. Well, how do they feel about that?
I'll give you the mic. I think we got to the end of the night.
Conveniently passing it to somebody else. Wow, incredible. Couldn't possibly push that one. But like, yeah, I want to hear what they have to say about that. You're supporting somebody who doesn't think that you should be able to vote, or that you should be able to hold office, or you should be able to have any participation in the government, and you should live as a second-class citizen. How do you feel about that?
Because I started to talk, guys. Good one.
You want to answer that question?
I'm going to skip the question just for now. We can get back.
I'm going to skip the question just for now. This guy's a fucking loser.
In a bit. George, go ahead.
All right, no, thank you. Look, the debate on the topic of Nick Fuentes being silenced, I disagree. I don't agree in curbing anybody's speech. Does that necessarily mean we should all...
Oh, shit.
What's happening right now? What?
I promise you, I'll bring you down and back up. I will make sure you speak immediately right after. And just while I'm doing that, just quickly, Nick, how long have you and Destiny known each other? Because you guys seem like you're...
What the fuck is happening? Did they have him stop talking again? Dude, who's the person that's doing like who's the debate moderator? He's a huge fucking loser. Holy fuck.
Yo.
Why the softball questions, bro? He's got his own stream to be softball on. Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneako, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that? You like that version of Nick's America?
Better than and like acting like we're even a majority in America is ridiculous. There's 3 million Muslims here. It makes more sense, and our ideologies align more than the alternative. I'd much rather have a Christian country than an atheist country. Yeah, if they're gonna
Nobody's saying choose between a Christian and atheist countries. Nobody's advocating for an explicit atheist country. It's a country where there's a separation of church and state, and you have to follow our laws. That's it. What are you talking about? He's such a fucking coward. He's like reframing the question that was asked.
Have strong Christians that can sort everything to the Bible. I think that makes sense. That's what the whole point of the 824 was. Let's rewrite a lot of these things. Let's make sure that all the laws that we put forward go right back to the Bible. I think
you'd rather live in a Christian theocracy where Muslims aren't even allowed to hold office than you would in a secular democracy where Muslims can hold office.
Why are we subjected to this interrogation?
Yeah, I mean, like, what ends up happening there? All of a sudden, like, what do you think that means? Like, yeah, I trust one group of people to have my best interests about my ability to vote or advocate for myself. That's coward pussy shit. The fuck are you talking about? I wouldn't want to live under any government rule that didn't allow me to have a say in the government. What?
Do you understand how it goes from, he's not...
I know you're mad because you just want to yap and preach. No, you're not. The question wasn't even directed to you. Let's go into it. Oh my God.
George, you joined back at a perfect time. I wouldn't open...
I'll do it again.
Like, look, Nick is a friend of mine. Obviously,
oh, they just keep muting him.
We disagree on this issue. You can disagree with people on specific issues. That's one of the issues that we disagree on. Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I was just going to go to George. George, hopefully Nick did hear you this time around.
Do I need to leave because he still looks like a
Can you guys hear me?
No, guys. Yeah, Mario, just 2 seconds. Mr. Santos, I hope Nick can hear you this time around.
All right. Can Nick hear me? Nick, can you hear him test this?
No, I think no one can hear him.
All right, can we stop with this fucking George Santos shit? Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, Muslims are literally the most cucked religion online. They are the most.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Muslims will cuck out any celebrity. It's insane.
Hopefully the audience can hear, and then we can tell what he said. Go ahead,
The statement. I'm going to make a statement and a question. The statement is: should Nick Fuentes be censored?
Is this the George Santos? Is he even in fucking Congress anymore?
Is ugly, and the person who makes
no, he's not.
It should wear it. I don't care. But just based on what I've heard over the last couple of minutes here of Nick Fuentes, I mean, it's hard to even find that he has a following because every single thing he says is seething in hate. It's hateful. He's Islamophobic. He's anti-Semitic.
Oh my God, this guy's so fucking boring. Holy shit. Yeah, we know that. Thank you. That's not this bunch of the issue that he's a fucking coward that won't stand on his actual beliefs when he gets pushed on them.
Every single aspect of this individual.
He's a fucking loser. It's not even about like if you agree with Nick's perspective, that's fine. But the guy's a fucking cock loser who won't like be honest about his perspective, and he's a fucking coward that cries every time someone gives him a counter perspective and says, "You're interrupting me," because he won't stop talking. He talks more than any fucking Jew I've ever met. Okay, I'm a Jew, and I fucking talk all the time. Jews love to talk. This motherfucker talks more than them. Are we sure that Nick Fuentes isn't Jewish? Unironically. Holy shit. Just kidding. We'd never claim him.
Is built on hate. And what drives me absolutely bonkers is the fact that he calls himself a white nationalist. The guy's Hispanic. That's quite the clash of identity he has here, but which is fine. Who cares? That's his prerogative. But what I find hard to understand is the people who listen to the things he's saying and that they conform and agree. I mean, I've seen what the Groypers look like. They come in all shades and colors and religions. The fact that they can make amends with Nick Fuentes as their quote-unquote leader, whether it's one of his generals being in prison being subject to going to prison for 5 years for child pornography, whether it's him having
what? That's real? I don't doubt it at all.
Porn on his computer and being exposed for it, but then denying it and not allowing gay porn.
That was proven.
Mario, why are you bringing this guy up here? Who is this guy?
I don't care.
I can't even hear what's being said.
I don't care.
He's bringing up the porn on the phone thing. That's like proven fake.
Unlike you want to acknowledge or not, I'm somebody who at least knows how to get
hear it.
I mean, Fuentes has literally said that he would marry like a fucking 14-year-old. So I don't know, or was it a 16-year-old? So I mean, I don't doubt that any of these are fake. They probably just don't think that like the age of consent should be upheld in America.
How about that? You're never going to get elected. Nick's never going to get elected. You're never really going to be leaders of change or even representatives of any thought of your twisted, sick mentality. The fact that I'm sitting on the stage and I actually have to agree predominantly with Destiny and the Krasensteins, who
this guy's fucking boring the shit out of me. I'm gonna be real with you.
Or on the polar opposite side of the spectrum with me is just to show you how Nick Fuentes is a seething, hateful person. I mean, and that's just my opinion. Now, Sneako, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. And Keith, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. But all you need to do is go on the purple pill and see exactly the nasty, vitriolic hate that Nick Fuentes and his followers drive to the conversation. I'm gay. I'm not ashamed of it. But to them, I'm not human. I'm subhuman.
Don't worry. As long as Fuentes is in here, you're in good company.
That's true. He does talk about how he likes femboy shit, does he not?
Can I make a comment on that, please? Hey, George.
I can't even hear what's being said, so I don't think this is fair.
So, Nick, let me tell what he said, because
yes, he can.
You need to respond because there's a lot of defamatory statements.
Sully, since Nicholas can't hear, should we bring him down and back up?
No, it's only George that he cannot hear. I think a couple of other speakers cannot hear him. Yes. Go ahead, Suleiman.
Yeah, so he's made a number of accusations against you. He's saying that you are Islamophobic because you of your position. He also said you're...
I mean, not thinking Muslims should vote in America is because that's what he means too. Like if he's saying they shouldn't hold office, he means they shouldn't vote too. Just be clear. He doesn't think that they should take part in anything. He doesn't think they should vote. They should be able to be held office or hold office. He believes all these things. So let's just be clear.
Anti-Semitic and your entire ideology is based on hate. You also made an accusation that you're friends with somebody who's been in prison for 5 years or something, and
for child porn.
Also, he said something about you having child pornography on your computer.
Okay, well, I mean, he's Jewish.
I think he said something about having somebody else with child pornography, like his first general or some dumb shit.
Sexual drag queens.
No,
Clearly, there's no ideological bias.
I didn't say he had.
As for pornography,
What correction do you want to make, George? And then we'll go to Nick.
The correct was I didn't say child pornography.
Okay, so Nick, it was not child pornography. Big difference. Yeah, and Nick was gay porn, not child pornography.
He's thinking about the Alexander, the guy that Nick Fuentes defends all the time.
Okay. Ali Alexander. Yeah, that's yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the old Ali thing was.
Oh, Ali Alexander.
Philo came out and said, "Oh, there's all this evidence," and it never came out. There was one thing where I guess he sexted some gay guy who apparently, I mean, at first
he sexted a gay guy. I mean, that makes him gay, no?
Looked credible. And then this guy turned out to be following and commenting on like 100 other gay people stuff during that period. So that whole thing got completely debunked. As for
a gay guy following gay people is debunked.
Hatred and Islamophobia and whatever, these are meaningless words. I'm a Catholic. If you're Catholic, you believe that Jesus is God. You believe in the authority of the
I think that you just believe that Jesus is Jesus, but I don't really know anything, so let's be real.
Catholic Church, and we can't live in a society that is completely separate from that. There's like this myth that Christians must be indifferent to their own religion and their own church. And, and I said to Destiny, he said, oh, well, you're the first person to say my religion is right and others are wrong. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the essence of religion, is that there are positive claims. They contradict other people's claims about the nature of God and all that. And yes,
I love that show.
Those ideas have consequences. If you believe Jesus is God and the Catholic Church has authority, you need to live in a society that's informed by that. And so, on the other hand, liberals believe in pluralism. Liberals who don't believe in God or have certain religious beliefs, they think that we have to defer all these questions or avoid all these questions. And they believe in the state that's like an umpire, and they're kind of letting people do whatever it is they want. But we're seeing the problem.
We're not letting anybody do whatever they want. I mean, within reason, people can do what they want within reason. You can't steal things from people. You can't kill people. You can't do anything other thing.
Problems with that worldview, where a lot of different people are living here and they have mutually exclusive moral beliefs, and that becomes a very big problem. That's as evidenced by the trans issue or the gay issue.
Oh, yeah. Jesus is in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all the same person. Bro, what if we're all just water? All right.
Or feminism or mass immigration of people from foreign religions. So, I mean, but this is really just low IQ stuff. You're an anti-Semitic Islamophobe. I mean, what do these things even mean? I mean, specifically on
it means you hate Jews and you hate Muslims. It's pretty high. Like, it's pretty basic, pretty common on that one. Pretty understandable. Not a hot take there.
Anti-Semitism. That is the essence of the debate now about this recent law, where we're looking to the IHRA for the definition, and it says that if you believe Jews are loyal to Israel, you're anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, well, Jews, some of them are loyal to Israel, believe it or not. I know that's crazy. Under that definition, you can be an anti-Semite. If somebody said, do you hate Jews? I would say, no, I love Jews, I love everybody. If someone said, do you hate Muslims? I'd say, no, I love Muslims, I love everybody.
Yeah, he loves everybody. He just doesn't want you to be able to vote or hold office in America. Okay. Okay, crazy.
And I have Muslim friends on this space. Suleiman, I count you as one of them, Myron, Sneako. I have Jewish friends like Laura Loomer and other people that are not public figures. So I mean, that's
obviously like people who will shill their shit, like coward losers. Yeah.
Really, this is really just
like the only reason that he's friends with Myron and Myron and Sneako is because they desperately need a platform somehow, and this is potentially allows them to reach out to their audience. That's literally it. These people have fallen off tremendously. They have no consistency. They have nothing intelligent or valuable to say. They can't build an audience because they begged for attention. They got it quickly and they burned out when people realized they're fucking clowns.
Inane stuff. Surely we can have a higher IQ debate then. You're a pornographer and you're a racist and you're an
Am I gonna play the war within? I don't know. I might. We'll see.
Anti-Semite. This is just kind of like the same mob.
When does it come out?
Stupidity that you get from liberals in general. So I don't know why this guy was ever in Congress or a Republican. I don't know, frankly, why he's on the space. You got two disgusting degenerates between Destiny and George Santos. You got a gay drag queen who got ran out of office.
All right, I gotta leave pretty soon. Can I do a final question before I leave?
And a couple of abandoned children. So I mean, these people, in my view, just do not have credibility on these subjects.
Nice. Okay,
so Destiny, do you mind? I'm gonna go to George for the two questions. Then we'll go to yours right after.
I would prefer if we didn't because I can't hear him, and that's not really fair.
I think it's working. I think it's working out. George, you want to try one?
Well, that's his new tactic. I can't hear this guy. It's not fair. He can hear him. He wants to pretend he can't hear him, so he could just pretend that like nothing is happening. He doesn't have to respond to it.
One more time.
Why does it sound bad?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now, Nick?
You can?
No, I cannot.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Does it sound bad?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now, Nick?
You can?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He responded to Santos saying, "I can't hear you."
What I struggle to.
Yeah, Jesus is a Jew. He's the ultimate Jew. Bro, it's crazy.
Mario,
it's not really appropriate for him to talk if I can't hear him.
But no, is it okay if I repeat the question to you?
No,
one question from
that's totally appropriate. You can't have him accusing me of being a child pornographer, and I can't even hear what he's saying. I think that's inappropriate to begin with, and then for that to go on, what I can.
Oh my god.
Just ask him if he's gay.
So
that's all I want to know.
So Suleiman, do you ask a question?
Ask him if he's gay.
It's a reasonable question.
I mean, it's a bit of a dumb question, right?
That's by a drag queen, by the way.
So it's a question about your sexuality, Nick. I'm not sure how it's relevant, but I'll ask it just because it was asked, and then we'll go to Destiny right after. Not sure if you want to answer that question, Nick.
I just want him to.
What's the question? Well, I don't want to participate in this if people are going to be talking and I can't hear them. That's not
no. Okay, so it was a question.
Dude, this is the weirdest thing ever. He can hear all of these people. He's just pretending that he can't. It's just such a bizarre tactic.
All right, guys.
I've been waiting a while.
So I'm gonna do this. Myron and then Destiny. So the question, after you, Nick, if you want to answer or not. So George Santos asked the question if you're gay or not, and then Myron wanted to speak, and then Destiny wanted to ask a final question. So after you can answer the question,
question, isn't it? Like that's a ridiculous question. And to be honest, like George Santos, the guy who's basically conducted more Islamophobia than anyone knows. Ironic that he would say that. Anyway, go ahead, Nicholas.
I think Nick is pretty good at defending himself. Go ahead, Nick.
I have said it repeatedly, and I have no problem with hard questions, but I can't
It's very clear that he does, since he refuses to answer them.
hear him, and these are not even legitimate questions. This is just asinine personal attacks. So I'm frankly, if this is how it's going to be, and I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm not going
Whoa, what a politician.
to participate. If it's
No, we can hear you.
bringing
We can
people
hear
up to call me a gay pornographer, and then I don't even hear the question, this is ridiculous. I'll suffer even a little bit of destiny, hard questions, but
He just can't say no though. He can't bring himself to just be like, no, I'm not gay. That's silly. That's fucking incredible.
I can't even hear the guy.
Just say no. What?
Yeah, let me go to Myron. Myron, you've been waiting for a while, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. See, here's the thing. This is what they do with Nick, right? So,
I think, yeah.
This is what they do with Nick. Oh, they're so gross.
And Myron, I think Nick just left. I'll let you answer your comments. I think it was a good debate, though. I think that last question was tough.
He'll be back.
But go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, so this is what they do, right? They discredit Nick by calling him a white supremacist.
Why don't you just like literally just suck his cock? I wonder why you don't just literally like just guzzle his actual cum. Like I don't understand. It's very clearly you like men. I've seen all the pictures of you cuddling with men. You're gay as hell. Just suck his cock. Just literally gargle his cum and drink his ball juice. Just fucking go right in on that shit, boy.
An extremist, he's built on hate, etc. But that's not true. 3 of the people here on this panel right now are Muslims. He's friends with us. He's friends with Laura Loomer, who's Jewish and a Zionist.
Cool.
He has other Jewish friends. But
if anybody's like a legitimate friend with Nick Fuentes, you're obviously a fucking loser. Like there's nothing else to say.
They do this to disqualify his opinions and his views on things. Here's the reality.
God.
People cancel him because he talks about Jewish power in the United States and Jewish influence in American politics, which is absolutely true. That's why George Santos right now does not want to agree with him, because he understands the people that back him are Jewish lobbyists. That's the truth. America is run by AIPAC when it comes to political situations, and Nick has been critical of this for years, and they don't want him to be able to put that information out. Now, after October 7th, people are seeing the light of who really runs this fucking country from a political standpoint. And that
who runs the country? Because we're supporting Israel, our greatest, most powerful like ally in the Middle East that helps us spread Western influence. It's not a hot take, but okay. They control Israel. Israel controls us, guys. They control us. That's why they're okay. Great.
That is the truth, but they go ahead and try to say white supremacy and make all these comments to disqualify the very valid points he makes.
Yeah, and I do. I'll let you ping Nick if you want to come in, but I think we went way over time with the space anyway. Destiny, I know you had a question for Nick, but you and him went back.
Yeah, well, I guess like basically just like a comment. I get comment on
thoughts from Keith. Keith, you've been
oh my God, shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ!
Doing a lot of spaces with Nick. Your final thoughts on Nick being reinstated, and I know you were speaking earlier when we interrupted.
Yeah, thanks. I know Nick dropped. I think he's actually doing a space on his own channel now if people want to continue it there.
Yeah, I think Keith, we'll give you the final word, and then anyone that wants
to be clear, Nick is the only one here that said he wanted to block Muslims from running for office. So he's the most Islamophobic.
Guys, please, Destiny, you cannot answer the question. You can't say anything, please. You're here just so that we can pull your audience.
Okay, so what I'll do, guys, what I'll do is because Nick's not here.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. Okay, all right. What a yap fest.
Wow, fun stuff, man.
God, the Twitter space meta. I guess it's big. There's a lot of duders. Here's a community. If you want, join the Twitter community. We might start doing like the Twitter space meta. I guess if like politicians and shit join, why the f not? Or I'm sorry, X. Here you go. Also, listen, okay, if you are, there's probably groupers here, I don't give a f, or if you're stuck in the middle or whatever, okay, listen, if you want this country to look like a particular thing, or if you have a view of this country that you want that is like completely and wholly different than what this country's ever looked like, then, you know, God bless you, you live in the United States of America, unlike all the other countries that you seem to enjoy more than this one, you're actually allowed to advocate for those things here, okay? When people talk about turning this country into a theocracy, it is a bullshit-ass claim. When somebody tries to cite the Federalist Papers #2, where John Jay talked about the importance of having like a cohesive national culture and try to pretend that meant that he wanted us all to be Christian, listen, okay, the founding fathers were attention whores, all right? These people wrote so many pamphlets, so many papers, so many books, they wrote the Constitution. These guys wrote so much. If they wanted the United States to be a Christian country, we wouldn't have to play Decoder Inspector Gadget to try to figure out where that is, all right? There wouldn't be anything up to interpretation. It'd probably just be written in the Constitution itself, okay? It's not like it would have even been like that crazy at the time to make it a Christian country if they wanted to, okay? So always remember that. When people say this was founded as a Christian country, that is bullshit, okay? Number one, okay? Number two, when you have people that are coming up here saying, I think Jews want to do this thing where they oppress certain religions or certain races or some bullshit, listen, that is literally explicitly what Nick is saying he wants to do. He wants to make it a Christian country and then ban Muslims and Jews from running for office. Like, why? What's next?
Yeah, or voting for office, just to be clear. I mean, what else? There's no other, like, they wouldn't let you vote. If they're not going to let you run, they're not going to let you vote.
They can't vote? Or like you don't want them to immigrate here? Or like is it only... And also, keep this in mind too. If you are Christian, okay? Fuentes is not Christian. Fuentes is Catholic, okay? So I didn't get to ask him this, but I'm pretty sure that if you were to ask him, not only would he say, you know, Muslims and Jews shouldn't be able to run for office, he'd probably say Christians shouldn't be able to run for office either, okay? Catholics had a really brutal history fighting Protestants a long time ago. It's not like that these two people like separated and got along and were, you know, super cool with each other. So, yeah, that bullshit. And anti-American shit too. It's like it's just not like he's not like this liberal place. Like if you were to try to pull this shit in any other country, he would get like executed, okay? If you were to go to Saudi Arabia and say some shit about how you want to start a different type of religion, or if you go to the Dark Ages, you know, in these like Catholic ran countries or some bullshit, you're like, oh yeah, like I think we need to be a blah blah blah. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. Are Catholics not Christian? Fuck no. If you're a Catholic and somebody's like, are you Christian? Say, fuck no, I'm not fucking Catholic, motherfucker.
All right,
no,
all
bullshit,
right,
okay?
all
Don't let him
right.
get away with that shit either, okay? Who's saying join
Destiny's talking in the last 5 minutes more than he did the entire conversation.
Left, I don't care. I'm not going back. I'm going to go do other shit. I joined the community. Okay, I'll you guys have fun. We're going to capture, I'll catch you guys next. Just gonna peace out. Remember this, okay? When Nick Fuentes says he gets banned for telling jokes, he doesn't ever tell you what he actually believes too, okay? Saying things like a lot of Jews are in power, everybody knows that. You're gonna look at that. Like, yeah, there's Jewish people tend to be wealthy, tend to be influential. Yeah, that's true. That's not the strong claim. The strong claim is that there is a coordinated plan from all Jewish people to undermine like white power or undermine like other ethnic groups, right? When he says it like, oh,
Jews are white, by the way.
Well, races are real and have differences between them. Yeah, welcome to genes. I don't even know if Nick Fuentes actually. That'd be a good question. Does Nick believe in genes? You know he doesn't believe in dinosaurs, right? You ask Nick on our panel, do you think that dinosaurs are real? He doesn't actually believe that dinosaurs exist. I don't know if he believes the genes are real. So I don't even know if he can believe that races are real. Who the fuck knows? But the strong claim that he makes is that there are inseparable differences between the races because of genetic differences. That's the strong claim. But he's too much of a fucking pussy to make the strong claims publicly because he's a fucking bitch ass loser pussy. Fuck.
Got him. What is this? Somebody sent me.
Yapping about transgenderism or something, but how you doing? How you feeling your first space back?
I didn't love it. I thought it was good at first, and then I think Destiny successfully derailed it.
Derailed it. He barely talked. Wow, this is Nick Fuentes coping about it.
Which was his mission, but I thought the
Getting pushback is a derail. This is on normal speed. Sorry if he sounds like he's on drugs.
first, whatever that was, 45 minutes, hour, was great. And it was great to hear from Andrew Tate. You know, I'd never spoken to him before. So you, me, him, Alex, Myron, total red pill Avengers moment. So that was really exciting. But went on too long. The moderation was bad. You know,
the moderation was bad. They gargled his balls. Anytime Destiny asked something, they would be like, "Oh no, let's ask that question later," and then they would just move on and never come back to it. What the fuck is he talking about?
Kind of a mess, to be honest with you. Probably would have been better if it was fewer people. But other than that, I thought it was
not Destiny is what he.
Right.
I mean, I just had Suleiman on my stream afterwards, and we were recapping the space. It was that big. It was like there was so much to talk.
Isn't that the guy that justifies this, like marrying and molesting children?
About, but he was basically saying, he didn't say it specifically, but he insinuated that they pretty much had to have Destiny on or Mario would have gotten canceled. You know how it goes on YouTube.
Oh yeah, everything's a conspiracy here. Yep.
It's like you need to have pushback against Nick or else they're gonna go and shut it down.
Yeah, well, they had the Krasensteins, and I don't know. I didn't talk to Mario.
I wish I could increase the speed of this. It's so boring.
It's totally a handicap. You know, to me, it felt like the Krasensteins weren't doing a good enough job pushing back. So they had to bring in Destiny to just send it in 100 different directions. I mean, it's...
Oh my God. Thank you so much for the $10 from Jack Esposito. All I want to say, Nick, is terrible Catholic. The word Catholic literally means universal. Pope Francis is the first pope from the Americas. Pope John Paul II apologized to the Jewish people. Okay. Interesting stuff, man. You're a very learned individual, brother.
Not intelligent, it's not productive, and it's total fucking bullshit because, I mean, the guy said, "Oh, Nick is on my blacklist. Oh, he's on my blacklist." I think we both are.
I think Nick's just offended because he doesn't want to be associated with anything that's black.
But he's this fucking insipid little pissant is going to show up on every big stream I ever do to just ask stupid questions like, the government just got it wrong. Like he totally got humiliated. Nobody thought he did well. Like nobody.
I mean, I think he did pretty decent.
Thinks that's persuasive, but he just antagonizes everybody and just kind of slows everything down. Like,
dude, Nick Fuentes is such a crybaby.
He's just a retardant. He's a retard, but he's also just like a retarding force. Like.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He doesn't even really, by the end of it, we all kind of got to the right conclusion, and he was just saying stupid stuff like, yeah, well, the government just got it wrong sometimes, and, people know that's not true, but it just makes it 10
probably pretty true. Do you think the government gets it right all the time?
Times longer to get to the point when you just have that kind of constant, incessant, interrupting sophistry, so that was extremely irritating, but...
I think everybody heard it. I mean, his existence is just push away and distract and kind of just yap until people forget what the original point even was.
Bro, he barely even talked. That's literally what Nick Fuentes was doing, yapping until people forgot what the main point was.
I think there was a moment where everyone was just kind of getting exhausted. Like what are we even talking about now? But regardless, I think it was overall it was a big win. I don't think that they got any wins there. And you're right, the Krasensteins, I've never heard about these guys before, but they weren't doing a good job. And Andrew Tate even got them to concede on a point about the media and about how they lie for money.
Yeah, that was. I mean, yeah, I think it was a good showing. He's just such a nuisance.
Such a nuisance.
But other than that, I think it was good. There were definitely a lot
Is
of
he almost done fucking whinging?
good moments in there. You did well. Myron's great. Tate was great.
How did Sneako do well? What did he do? He came in and say, "Why do we support Israel?" And then that's all he said. And he's like, "I'm Muslim and I'm okay with Nick, even though he would stop me from being able to participate in government."
Alex Jones, it's when he calls into these things, he's just a little too much, interrupting everybody, and the guy's just a beast.
Well, I mean, you have to interrupt you because you don't shut the fuck up.
But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to doing more spaces in the future where it's not
without Destiny
like that, because that was.
I want to do more spaces where there's no pushback.
Stressful, and then we did that second space. I swear, I thought that was Elon for most of it. So that was totally bizarre. I mean, I monologued for like an hour, and that was good. And then we did this back and forth with this strange impersonator. That for the whole time, I was literally texting you. I'm like, bro, shut up. It's Elon. Let me have my moment. And it's like this fucking freak, like skin suit Elon impersonator. I feel like a fucking idiot. And so that was just like.
No, we thought it was too. And that's why I was trying to get my talking point. I'm like, this is my moment.
I just want to finish this. We already started it. We might as well,
to go and interview Elon, but it's not him. Like I saw pictures. He's even spoken to Elon on Spaces before, but I thought that everybody was trolling me and it really was him for a while. But it's not. They're still convinced in the chat that it was. But we would love to have you on one of our Love Speech spaces. I saw you join Love Speech the other day. This guy Jacosta, he hosts good space. We just have good conversations.
This is so boring. Holy fuck! This is why people don't watch these people anymore.
We can have I mean, obviously you're too tired today, but in the future, like we're not gonna like bring on. It's good to just have these conversations and not have like the weird, annoying distraction the whole time.
Love it.
Yeah, totally. Would love to. I always enjoy our conversation and Myron and.
Of course, because they give you no pushback because they're fucking cowards. They don't push back against anybody who's a man because even though Fuentes isn't really a man, he's like a fucking small little baby. Because they're coward fucking losers and they only push back against women. People who they feel like they're stronger than. They're fucking losers.
Destiny comes on and literally just your blood pressure goes up because it's just like, and to his credit, I think it's an effective tactic, but it's just this like constant like interrupting and just battering ram sophistry tactics. It's like every time we do a debate, I just get like a headache by the end of it. I'm like, shut the fuck up. So it'd be good to
he actually has to respond and think about it. That's what bothers him about it.
Have a conversation with you and Myron and, or
with the Red Pill Avengers.
Thing.
You know what they really yapping about transgenderism.
Thank God it's over. Holy fuck. That was a literal brain rot.